You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, live.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the 164th episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Mays. Alongside of me, co-host J-Raff.
Yeah, it's good to be here. We are live from Wilson High School in the gymnasium, and things have just got underway. And as you can hear in the background, everyone is ready to go and excited. Hopefully, they can kind of keep it going for the next 12 hours. That's a tough task, but I know they've got it in them.
Yeah, definitely. So just to kind of recap what Justin said, for the 164th episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, we are live from the gymnasium at Wilson High School in West Lawn, Pennsylvania for the 2015 Wilson Mini-THON. And for those of you that maybe aren't aware of what Mini-THON is, we'll give you a little bit of an introduction to the event, everything surrounding it, why we're doing it, what we're doing it for. We also have a great sports show for you besides the charitable and philanthropic views that we'll be sharing this evening. And we have some people here special tonight helping us for a change here. We actually have on the show with us our music producer, Greg Hill. Go ahead, why don't you say a few words here, Greg?
Good evening, everybody. Hope you're all doing well.
Yeah, so Greg's here to help us tonight because it's the first time in about 2 years, a year and a half, that we've been on the road doing a show. And we're really excited about this one. While we don't have these gigantic celebrities like we had a year and a half ago with Chad
What
Henne.
Are you talking about?
When we had Chad Henne on the show from West Lawn United Methodist Church in June 2013. We do have a lot of interesting interviews this evening with some Wilson football players, Mini-THON organizers, and perhaps even some families from the Four Diamonds Fund. So it should be an incredibly exciting show. We're really looking forward to it. And for the first time ever, we'll be broadcasting for more than 45 minutes or an hour. We're actually on the air this evening for 3 hours, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
Yeah, marathon show.
Yeah.
All that keeps running through my head is the guy who does the Red Zone channel, Scott Hansen.
Scott Hansen, yeah.
Yeah. This is a lot less than that, but we still have we're still gonna have our version of a marathon show tonight.
Yeah, so it is a special opportunity to interact with a lot of people that we're not used to interacting with. We've got a large audience here down on the dance floor, which we'll get into all that stuff a little bit later. But up first here this evening is going to be a couple interviews. We have interviews lined up with Nate Bentz, who's in charge of security for THON. He'll also be bringing along Four Diamonds Fund child Seth. If he can't make it, his mom Elizabeth will be joining us. Followed right after that will be Wilson defensive ends Austin Rosa and Nolan Campbell. And then following them will be Bulldogs outside linebacker Chris Zerby, also offensive lineman. So we have a lot of stuff lined up for the show. But the opportunity to contact us is here and prevalent, and there's multiple ways you can do that. We're going to have it up during the show. Justin's going to mention it. We're going to try to remember to mention it throughout the show. Are we doing the...
I think they're presenting the colors. Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, they come.
All right, we're gonna hold off here for a few seconds. All right, we paused there as we did the colors and sang the national anthem. Very good rendition of the national anthem. But back to the contact information. There's a bunch of ways that you can do that this evening. Justin's going to give you some of that information right now, starting with the phone number.
Yeah, we'd love to have you call into the show and have your take. Again, a little unique on our topic tonight. You know, some of you we know have a history with Thon or Mini-THON or a variety of things. If you would like to get in touch with us, we'll try and take your phone call. You can call the show at 530-563-6297. Again, you can use the Mays Sandwich Shop hotline and call the show at 530-563-6297. We will try to get this number out a few times throughout the show. It'll also be on the screen if you're watching on Ustream, so that we can continue to take your questions or take your feedback or hear your stories. Again, during the marathon show, that would be nice to have.
Yeah, we also have the Mays Sandwich Shop email inbox. You can email us, JoeMays and J-Raff at gmail.com. We have that up during the show. We also monitor the Facebook and Twitter feeds. We have fan pages on those sites as well. Have those up during the show. If you'd like to contact us in that way, that is possible as well. We're also taking text to both mine and Justin's personal show. We're going to do that. Personal email and text and all that stuff, you can send it to us. But we do have this evening, we're going to take text to the Joe Mays and J-Raff hotline, which is 215-315-3199. You can text the show at that number, 215-315-3199. So a bunch of different ways, calling, email, text, Facebook, Twitter, all that. Not only for our sports questions tonight, we're all going to talk sports, but we'll also have a bunch of great people to be interviewed. So that'll be a lot of fun. If you have questions, comments for them, definitely hit us up. Again, we are taking phone calls. We have Greg on that. He's going to be passing it along. So if you want to contact us via the hotline, it's 530-563-6297. We're rapidly approaching our first set of interviews. Before we do that, I think I want to give a little bit of a background on why we're here, what we're doing. And that is all related to Wilson Mini-THON, which started last year. But it all goes back to what does Mini-THON and the larger groups, Penn State Dance Marathon and the Four Diamonds Fund at Penn State Hershey Medical Center, what are they doing? Why are they doing this? Well, these are related to childhood cancer. The facts surrounding that include that worldwide, every 3 minutes a child is diagnosed with cancer. It's the number one disease killer of children in the United States, which actually is more than asthma, cystic fibrosis, diabetes, and pediatric AIDS combined. The cause of most childhood cancers, unlike the cancers that adults get, is unknown. It ends up being genetic in nature rather than physical or
right.
natural in terms of
less environmental conditions. Correct. And more genetic. Now, obviously those things can have an effect just like any other thing. In adult cancers there can be onsets through other things, but like you said, it is generally much more of more genetic in nature. At least it's believed for many of them to be more genetic in nature because of the lack of time to have as much exposure to many of those harmful environmental conditions.
1 in every 4 elementary schools in the United States has a child with pediatric cancer. So that's kind of just setting the groundwork for why we're here, what's going on, the events surrounding to help fight pediatric cancer, and that's what Mini-THON is a part of. And Mini-THON is actually a trickle-down effect from the Penn State Dance Marathon and related to the Four Diamonds Fund. Now, THON, you can learn more about THON, the main event, at thon.org. THON is the short name for the Penn State Dance Marathon, which was started in 1973. It actually grew from a single dance competition to a 46-hour, basically a community party, which has now been going on for a number of decades. It's grown to the 46-hour event that actually is next weekend at Penn State main campus in University Park. The one up at Penn State has more than 15,000 students help every year. So it's quite it's actually the largest student-run philanthropy in the world.
Some more special guests walking by.
Yes, definitely. In 2014, Penn State Dance Marathon raised $13.3 million for pediatric cancer research. All of that money goes directly to the Four Diamonds Fund, At least it has since 1977. Penn State Dance Marathon has been partnered with the Four Diamonds Fund, and over that we're closing in on 40-year relationship now, Penn State Dance Marathon has contributed over $110 million to the Four Diamonds Fund. So what is the Four Diamonds Fund? It's based out of Penn State Hershey Children's Hospital, and you can visit their site at fourdiamonds.org. Their mission, the mission of the Four Diamonds Fund, is to conquer childhood cancer by assisting children treated at Penn State Hershey Children's Hospital and their families through superior care, comprehensive support, and innovative research. That's the Four Diamonds Fund mission. They support about 600 children and their families. Since 1972, the Four Diamonds have helped more than 3,500 children and families. Seth, hey guys, you guys take a seat. And the fund supports pediatric cancer research at the Children's Hospital, and they've been able to assist 100% of the childhood cancer patients treated at Penn State Hershey. The most interesting thing is the origination of the name, the Four Diamonds Fund. It actually was started by a young boy named Christopher Millard, who wrote a fantasy story about Sir Millard, which was a knight searching for four diamonds representing courage, wisdom, honesty, and strength. Possessing those four diamonds would free Sir Millard from the grips of an evil sorceress. And the four diamonds, courage, wisdom, honesty, and strength, are the traits necessary to overcome cancer, according to Christopher Millard. And unfortunately, Christopher passed away at the age 14, and his parents started the Four Diamonds Fund, which leads us to Mini-THON, which where we are this evening, was started in the mid-90s is when the high school got involved, and participation has skyrocketed in the last 10 years, with up to 130 schools and 225,000 students involved now. And during the 2013-2014 academic year, Mini-THONs raised over $3.1 million for the Four Diamonds Fund. The Wilson Mini-THON started last year, raising $23,528.73, smashing their goal of over $10,000. This year, the 2015 goal is $50,000. Now, if you're watching us on Ustream, there is a link bouncing around on our screen asking you for donations. So if you are feeling the need to donate to this incredible cause, click on the link, donate as much or little as you can. It's just such a great event, one that Justin and I are glad to be a part of this year. And without further ado now, we're going to move on to our first set of interviews. And we have here with us this evening some special guests. And up first is going to be a special guest here with us is Seth and his mom, Elizabeth, if I'm correct.
That's
Seth
right.
and Elizabeth.
All right.
I'm so glad you guys could join us this evening. It's such a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having us.
So, Seth, what do you think of the event so far? We're just getting started here.
Well, honestly, it's really amazing that people take their time out of their days to do this.
I know you have gotten close with a lot of people
Yeah.
in the school districts. Obviously, you're a student here. You have a ton of friends, but the people in this building right now have been a great supporter for you over the last few years. And I know in the fall you got to participate with the football team.
Yeah.
Did you enjoy their time? I think it was when they played Lancaster McCaskey, right?
Yeah.
Actually got some pictures here for you.
I think that was the favorite part of his whole year so far.
Yeah.
I don't know how that couldn't be. That is pretty awesome.
That was really cool, yeah.
Now, we caught some pictures of the football team throwing up their diamonds and you walking out for the coin toss.
Yeah.
I know it was a great event. Was there something from that night that you really, that was your favorite thing from that night? What did you enjoy about that?
Probably just seeing the whole football team just being that much support.
Yeah, and I think that, we talk about the money that's raised through these events, and that's fantastic. And we, it goes a long way, and, we'll continue to do it, as long as it's needed. But that's one of the areas where we want people, and I think, Four Diamonds, they talk about that a lot. They're there to support in lots of ways, not just, fundraising for research, but also support the families and and the people who are most affected.
Yeah.
What the football team did that night for him was, I think, this disease is something that really makes you, especially as a child, feel very different and very alone, because you don't typically know a lot of other children that have cancer. And so for them to just reach out with so much love and support for him.
Goosebumps.
Yeah.
You're talking about it. It's awesome.
Being there that night and photographing you throughout your for that evening, it seemed that you've grown pretty close with some of those players. Are there a few players that really stick out in your mind that have gone above and beyond what you expected of them, or has it just kind of been an entire team atmosphere?
Just the entire team's atmosphere is just amazing.
That's awesome.
Now, Seth, are you a big sports fan?
Yeah.
Yeah. What sports do you enjoy to play or watch?
I like football and baseball.
Yeah, football and baseball. Yeah, those are excellent choices right there. Do you have some favorite teams? Do you favor the local teams, or are you kind of at wider net?
I have definitely a wider net.
Oh yeah, who's your favorite baseball team?
Baseball would have to be Phillies.
Phillies.
All right,
Good choice.
that's
Yeah,
what
we
I
like
like
that.
to
We
hear.
like to hear that. How about football?
Football, I have to say San Francisco.
Okay, I can live with
You're a
that.
49ers
when you
fan?
said a wider net, I was a little worried, but I can live with San Francisco. That's okay. That's okay.
And anything Penn State.
Oh,
Oh,
good.
yeah, that's
okay.
what we like to hear.
Perfect. We love to hear that. Yeah, Penn State is one of ours. I'm a Penn State graduate. Justin's a huge Penn State fan.
Yeah.
You know, my wife and I both were involved in THON at Penn State, so that's coming up next weekend. Are you guys going up next weekend?
Yes,
Going.
definitely.
Oh, yeah. And now this event is awesome. The local community getting involved the second year, and it's growing. But what about the one at Penn State? What is the big thing that you see there that weekend that you absolutely love and wouldn't mind seeing Wilson maybe grab onto?
I think that the Wilson High School students have done such a good job of trying to just really reach out the same way that they do at THON. You know, the kids here at Wilson have been incredibly supportive. Like, I've really been blown away by the way that they have reached out to our family on an ongoing basis throughout the year, not just in preparation of this event. And I think that's one of the biggest things with THON too, is that we just feel like it's such a big family there. Another thing at THON is that we're so close to so many of the other THON families.
Yep.
And it's nice that there are several other families here tonight too. It's not just like spotlighting one family, it's that there are several families here. And so, you know, that sense of community is awesome. One thing that I would love to see in this room is the energy that you feel at THON. That you can't, you know because you've been there, but you can't describe that in words.
Yeah, well,
and you just walk in and you feel that energy.
I think it has to do with the amount of people that you get there just involved. You know, it doesn't matter if you go there at 2 a.m. or 6 o'clock at night. You know, you've got tens of thousands of people there standing on their feet, screaming, singing songs, playing games, and it's just an incredible atmosphere. One that's hard to duplicate, but I think Wilson's done an incredible job to get up to speed and really throw themselves into the Mini-THON family. I think it's great that in year 2 they've already done so much more than a year ago when they just were kind of a rookie here. I know the students involved have done an incredible job over the last year getting to where they are now.
Yeah, they've done an amazing job. We've been really overwhelmed, and I talk about it all the time, like on 4 Diamonds families and on 4 Diamonds Facebook page, and I'm just so proud of these high school students. It's amazing how much they've just really put their hearts into it. It's great.
Now, Seth, do you watch, besides, we talked about football and baseball, do you watch any hockey?
A little
bit. Okay, a little bit. We're actually having the Buckley family on a little bit later, Colton, and I know he's associated with the Penn State men's hockey team up there. They've a huge influence.
He's a part of the hockey
team. Oh
team.
yeah, it's absolutely
Yeah.
incredible to see how they've latched on to him. Do you have an organization that you work with?
We have Alpha Kappa Lambda fraternity.
Okay.
And some of them are here tonight. They drove down from Penn State.
That's
Awesome.
awesome.
That's great. I'm glad to hear it. Yeah, when I was associated with the College of Earth and Mineral Sciences, and we have 3 families that we're associated with, 3 4 Diamonds families, and they've really become part of our family. The Brewer family started with us when our organization started, and they actually were at my wedding. You know, so
I
So
love
you get
that.
really tight with the families, and it really is an actual family. You get so associated with them. And I'm so glad to hear that some of them came down for the local event. You know, you're going to see them next weekend too at the giant main event in State College. But it's so great that they were able to come down and spend the evening and day with you here as well. That's so great. So now
his dancers for next weekend.
your dancers are here.
Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
This is a little tune-up for them, huh?
Yeah.
We were joking around earlier, and I'm like, man, the idea of 12 hours makes my leg hurt, you know. And now I'm thinking like, 46 hours. That's just crazy. But you know, I think that they put it well at the beginning. You know, you keep the bigger purpose in mind. You know, when you're doing these things, and it's all for an awesome cause. So that's awesome to hear that you have that support. That they're coming down tonight.
Yeah.
Seth, did you watch the Super Bowl?
Yes.
Now, I know, it wasn't the 49ers in it,
Yeah.
and being a 49ers fan, you might not be too excited about the Seahawks. So
Yeah.
were you cheering for the Patriots?
Yes.
You were. So you're excited about the outcome
Yes.
then. Now, do you like Tom Brady and the Patriots, or are you just
Yeah.
happy the Seahawks lost?
I like Tom Brady.
Okay, yeah, we're going to talk about quarterbacks a little bit later. I'm sure Tom Brady's probably going to come up in our conversation. So now, we've spent a lot of time talking, asking you guys questions. Is there anything that you wanted to ask us, about our involvement, about sports? That's what our show is all about. So if there's something you want to ask us, go right ahead. If not, we'll keep throwing stuff at you. We've got no problem doing that.
You have any questions?
No questions. Now, I'm sorry if you already answered this, but I didn't hear it. What made you a 49ers fan?
Well, my great-grandpa,
Great grandpa.
he really loved the 49ers. And
Okay.
He's from California.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Yeah.
And I think just before the playoffs,
He passed away. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So it's family connection there. You got someone else that liked it. Yeah. I'm a Philly sports fan, except for NFL. I'm a Dolphins fan. It's completely
Love the
random.
Dolphins.
That's his number 2 team.
Actually, lucked out when Chad Henne got drafted by
I
him.
was
'cause-
sitting next to him when they drafted Chad Henne, and he jumped up and was screaming and jumping up and
You
down.
went
It was
down.
funny. It was awesome.
But I played with Chad here at Wilson, and Chad was on our show a year and a half ago. So when he got drafted by the Dolphins, my favorite team, I freaked out because that was just like a dream come true, being like, I actually have, in some way, know the starting quarterback for the Dolphins. So that was cool. But I'm a Dolphins fan through some random family connection as well, but I like all the other Philly teams. So
Yeah.
it's always interesting to find out why people like the teams that they do. So that's a lot of fun. Now, I know you've been up to Penn State for THON. Have you been up for any football games ever?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
We love Penn State football.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's another. You talk about energy levels. It's
That is
it's
big
exciting.
energy,
It's
too.
exciting. Yeah.
That were you up to a game this past year?
We were at several this
Several.
year. Yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
Yes.
Do you have season tickets?
No.
But you have
sadly.
connections.
We
though.
have some connections.
Connections.
so,
Awesome.
Yes.
So what games did you get to see in person this year?
I think East Michigan.
Eastern Michigan. Okay.
Yeah, we were up for 3 or 4. I can't even remember which.
Did we
They
see
kind of all run together
Oh, yeah,
as the
absolutely.
years go by.
Ohio State?
No, we didn't see Ohio State.
Yeah.
We tried to go to the ones earlier in the year
Yeah.
because it gets so cold in
yeah.
Beaver
Oh,
Stadium.
Yeah. Justin and I actually went up to the Ohio State game. We were there for that one together, and I went to one at the beginning of the year. But this guy right here, he does have season tickets.
I do.
So
I do.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Just send in our check. Just send in our check for next year.
he's
So.
also a Wilson water polo coach, though, so he doesn't get to go to all the
Right, yeah,
games.
there's conflicts, you know.
Yeah.
So I immediately compare the home football schedule with water polo tournaments, and then we end up trying to situate that. So
Yeah. There's another family here, the Wagners,
Yep.
and their org at Penn State is the water polo team.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yeah, I
awesome.
know some of the
Yeah,
players
yeah.
on the water polo team up there.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, it's so great to see that so many families could be here tonight and have such great stories to tell about the organizations at Penn State and
Yeah.
the dance marathon up there. So, well, I don't want to keep you guys you're free to go back and enjoy the floor downstairs.
Yeah.
I thank you guys so much
Party
for
away
joining
downstairs.
us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
for
we
coming
really
on.
appreciate you taking some time out, especially so early on, and getting up here to talk to us. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so
for
much.
inviting us.
Thank you
That
for
was awesome.
inviting us.
Yes, thank you guys. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
You too. Thank
You
you.
too. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Oh, actually, before you go, we actually have a shirt for you to take with. Greg's gonna hook you up with that. He'll bring it over for you. Thanks for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Does that size work? We have different size. Okay. All right. So that was Seth and his mom Elizabeth, one of the Four Diamonds Fund families that's here this evening. One of the first of many interviews we'll be doing tonight. So that was a lot of fun. It was fun to talk to
awesome,
Seth.
yeah.
He's such a great kid. He had so much fun. I'll throw up some of those pictures from the game this fall. The football team really rallied behind them and had Four Diamonds Fund shoelaces on. A lot of them taped their wrists and wrote Seth and had the Four Diamonds on. And they really rallied around. It was a lot of fun seeing the football team take part. And we have a couple minutes here before our next set of interviews. If you want to, we actually have with us this evening also, in addition to Seth and his mom Elizabeth here, we have Rules and Regulations Director here, Nate Benz, who is a Wilson football player, and I have his picture up on the screen right now with Seth from the game of this fall. And I'll pull him up on camera here so you can see him. And there he is, standing with the rest. So Nate, now were you involved in Mini-THON last year?
Actually, I was not. This
Okay.
is my first year doing it. When I came on, they started the Rules and Regs committee this year, and they thought it was a perfect fit for me. So I've been doing the job, and it's been semi-running smoothly so far tonight. We've had a couple hiccups.
I was going to say, man, for not being involved last year to come right into a big time leadership role, that's pretty. I'm sure it's exciting. It'll be more exciting after the fact, and it's probably pretty stressful right now. But
Oh, yes.
we appreciate you taking some time to talk to us.
Yeah, definitely. I know we're gonna
And all your help getting everything set up. You were a big help.
Yeah, definitely
making this happen.
We're gonna welcome in a couple of your teammates here in a few minutes once they arrive. But how did you choose to get involved? Did they seek you, or did you seek them out?
It was a little bit of both. My friend Ian Roth, the overall of this, he wanted me to join. I knew I wanted to get involved in something really great, and I know this is a great event, so I thought it was just a perfect fit. And they had the Rules and Regs job that fit right into my line of work.
Right.
What I've been doing.
So now, what's your favorite part of Mini-THON?
I think it's just the overall atmosphere. Everybody's just happy and cheery, and we're all just having a great time. I think right now I've been the only one that's frowning along with the other captains because of all the stress, but besides that, everybody's smiling and having a good time.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. It's just one big community party, and that's the great part about this community carnival from 6 to 9 tonight that gets everyone involved here to see what the students are doing, helping out this huge philanthropy that is just growing so much. Now, in addition to your working with Mini-THON, you're also, like I said, a football player. You're part of an incredible senior class to go through Wilson. What was your favorite part of the football season this past fall?
My favorite part of the football season this fall would have to be the fact that we defined what everybody thought of us. We came out and no one thought we were going to go anywhere. Everybody thought we were going to just get rolled over by Mifflin, rolled over by all the other teams, but we shocked the world.
Absolutely. Yeah. And entering this year, everything in the newspaper, they actually were picking you guys to win the league because they didn't do that last year and you destroyed everyone again. They were like, well, we'll pick them, but, they don't have anything coming back.
Yeah.
We'll pick them kind of because they're Wilson. Well, you guys went 10-0 in the league, undefeated run through the league again. 2 back-to-back undefeated seasons, first time Wilson's ever done that. And, Wilson's a historic program. For you guys to do that back-to-back is really incredible. You go on to win your second district title in 3 years. I think there's only another senior class that can say that. So arguably, at least in the playoff era, you are probably the most successful team to come through Wilson. What does that make you think leaving your legacy here like that to be like, I was part of something that is one of the best, if not the best all time?
You know, I never thought of that.
I have the stats. I can read them over. I'll go over it with you.
I just never thought that we were considered the best.
Well,
you hear about all those great teams that have come through Wilson, and
well, the 2014 seniors, which would be you and the guys we're going to have on here next, you guys were 39-4 overall. You played 43 games.
For the record, you're guaranteed 30.
You played
and you
43.
played 43.
Yeah.
Right.
You won more than some people get to play. 39-4. You had 29-1 in the regular season. You lost one regular season game in your careers, and that was to Harrisburg the second week of your sophomore year.
wow.
You were 21-0 in the league. You were 8-1 non-league. You got 3 league titles, 3 District 1 seeds, 2 District 3 titles, and 2 state Final Four appearances. Okay, now the playoffs start in the early mid-'80s, so John Gursky didn't get to take his team to the playoffs, so arguably, we can't compare those. But in terms of mid-'80s to now, you're the most successful team statistically in Wilson history. So, the problem is the class behind you is pretty darn talented, and if they win 14 games next year, they'll eclipse your record. So,
Now to be fair, 14 is a heck of a lot. So that's no small task. So you guys, but that aside, you guys had an amazing run, not just this year, but over the course of all the years. So congratulations. It was a lot of fun to watch this year as you guys went.
Thank you.
Kept going and kept going and kept going, and like you said, defied what a lot of people thought was possible this year.
Yeah. So I want to thank you for joining us. I know you're busy doing your security and enjoying Mini-THON. We're going to move on to our next set of interviews. But again, Nate Bentz, Rules and Regulations Director here for Wilson Mini-THON, Wilson football player. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for tracking down Seth and his mom to join us as well.
No
Yeah,
problem.
we appreciate it.
Enjoy the rest of the night.
Thank you very much.
And just tap on their shoulders and tell them to take a seat.
Will do. Thank you again.
Thanks, guys. All right, so that again was Nate Bentz, big part of Wilson Mini-THON here in West Lum, Pennsylvania. And we're going to move right on to our next set of interviews here, which are another set of football players. Pretty big shoes to fill over the years. None maybe bigger than these two here that we're going to talk about just in a few seconds. We're going to do them separately, but they've done so much together over the years. It's probably best to have them on as a unit, as they've grown to do over, especially the last 2 seasons as Bulldog football players. Joining us now are defensive ends Nolan Campbell and Austin Rosa. Thanks for joining us, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
So we just talked to Nate a little bit about Mini-THON and his involvement and just what it means to him and the kids that are here this evening. I don't know how much involvement you've had, but what's you're looking at the event. What do you think about this event and what it does for the community?
I mean, it's a great thing to have this all together, set up by Wilson, really well-known football team in high school in the area. And I mean, the size comparison to last year is unbelievable. I came here last year and spent the whole night. And I remember during community hours, there was, a fraction of the amount of people that are here today. The fact that it's only been 2 years running and it's already this big is it's great to see that there's this many people showing up to support.
Yeah, I know. I talked to Ian Roth, the overall. He said last year, I think there were 120 dancers registered, and this year there are over 300. So it's easily more than doubled, and it's great to see the impact. And you say you were here last year,
Yep.
Austin. Nolan, have you been to Mini-THON before?
No,
this is your first trip?
Me too. This is my first trip.
Yeah. I was able to stop by last year. We donated some food, and I hung out and saw some of the games going on. But it's a really, really awesome event. I know you probably heard about it throughout the year, and I know you guys were involved directly this fall on the football program against the Lancaster-McCaskey game. We had Seth and his family here, and I know you guys were a big part of the awareness that went on that evening, whether it was just the colored tape, throwing up your 4 diamonds for Seth, just hanging out with him, making him feel involved and part of a family. And he was on here this evening talking about the way the football team made him feel, and he's just absolutely thrilled what you guys were able to do for him and what you guys continue to still do for him. And that kind of really spills over into what's happening tonight. You know, just the students looking out for other kids. And I mean, really, guys, as high school football players for the little kids in the community, you are role models to them. Whether you want to be or not, the little kids look up to you. How does that make you feel, to know people like Seth and those younger just looking at you guys like, I want to be like that someday?
I'll go. Well, I mean, having Seth with the team was just a great experience. He was a really great kid, and you know, he was part of the family for a solid week, and I wish we could have had him at more games. He was a great supporter, and he definitely made us, you know, play our hearts out. Seeing a little kid go through something like that, and it makes you feel so grateful for what you have. And you know, having something like Thon put together just to help and raise money, it's great to see we're doing everything we can.
Yeah, and it is an incredible event.
Yeah, I think it really, you know, it's something that not that it was lost on me, and I thought about it before, but just hearing from him and his mom, like how special that week was to them, was really, I told them, it gave me goosebumps. They were like just talking about it. They were so excited to like think back to that week. She said it's by far his highlight of the school year was that week and that game. And you know, that's something, you know, even, you know, as an adult, that's tough to kind of grasp that impact, you know, that things that, you know, it's the right thing to do, but you know, it's not necessarily all that tough. You know, I'm sure it wasn't all that tough to include Seth in those things that week, you know, and it seemed like, you know, it is the right thing to do, and yet that means so much to him and his family. You know, I think a lot of times it's tough for us to realize how much that means to other people. So, you know, congratulations and thank you guys for doing that. You know, what that means to him, and then what, you know, he can take that positive message forward. You know, she said how she's constantly telling everyone, you know, whether it's through the Four Diamonds, you know, network, or whether it's the representatives at Four Diamonds or the other families, just how supportive the Wilson community and including the football team are, and you know, that's a testament to you guys and you know, the character that you guys have.
All right, let's talk a little bit of football about this past year. It was one for the record books at Wilson again, which is hard to think that we keep saying that every year, but the program keeps getting better, and I know the local teams, whether they want to admit it or not, to see Wilson continue to get stronger and stronger is just incredible, and it's a testament to just the way the program has been built from the ground up. You guys had another incredible year. Looking back on those 15 games you guys got to play, which you essentially got to play another half a season that a ton of teams in the state don't even get to think about. And I said to Nate right before you guys got on, you know, in your 3 years as high school football players, you were 39-4. You played in 43 games, and Justin always points out, you're only guaranteed 30. You played 13 more. You literally played an entire extra season because of how strong you guys were these past 3 seasons. You actually go down in the Wilson record book as the most successful senior class in the history of Wilson football. You're at 39-4. I think that's 1 or 2 better than I think last year's senior class. So you just kept building on it. I know you got an incredible talent class coming up behind you, so it's going to be hard to hold on to that title. But they'd have to win, I think, 14 next year to tie or eclipse you. It's close. But looking back on just your senior year, 14-1, absolutely incredible accomplishment. Only the 3rd team to reach 14 wins. What was the biggest moment, and each of you can answer this separately, you don't have to pick the same thing. What was the biggest moment as a team this past season? To you, it doesn't have to be everyone's.
Okay.
What's your opinion on
My
that?
biggest moment, it was just like just beating Mifflin and going undefeated again, and it's just like winning another district championship and going 14-0. Just like a lot of people doubted us. And
That's what Nate said, yeah.
I was going to say, that seems to be a theme with the guys that we've talked to tonight. You know, just defying the odds and what people were saying before the season.
Yeah. So let's see what else we got here.
How about you, Rosa? What would you pick?
You know, with people picking us to go 5-5 or 4-6 at the beginning of the season, you know, that definitely made us want to try our hearts out. And then the fact that we were able to beat Mifflin in the season opener, you know, that definitely showed that we were the real deal. And we went on, you know, to win 9 more games, go undefeated, you know, start off number 1 in the district for the playoffs. then go out and win a district championship against Central Dauphin, who definitely seemed to want some revenge against us.
A little bit.
You had a memorable play against Central Dauphin in that playoff.
Oh my gosh!
I
forgot about that.
I'm showing your huddle highlight right now from the Manheim Township game. I want to get back to Manheim Township because the two of you were absolutely freaks against Manheim Township. But I want to talk maybe about that Central Dauphin play because I think I put one of the pictures I took from that game I got right here. That's you crossing into the end zone after you picked up that fumble. I know you walked it through. I probably Reading Eagle or some of the radio guys that were there then, but walk us through that play, and that kind of cemented the momentum in your favor. You know, we just had Jake Templin hit Gaiman on the pass to go up 7-0. They got the ball back. I don't know if it was on the next series or within a few minutes of that happening. You're up 7-0. What happened on that play where you ended up picking it up and running 33 yards for the touchdown?
I was on a wide rush, and I definitely overshot my boundaries, like I usually do. And I hit a quick spin move, and I go back to the play, and then, for a good solid 2 seconds, the play looked like it was over. They were standing up the running back, and the ball fell to the ground, and I didn't hear a whistle, and grabbed the ball, started sprinting, and I actually see whenever I watch the play, there was a wide receiver that got really close to me. Now he had a quick burst of speed. He got really close, but I managed to pull away. Thankfully I had the wheels to keep going.
And I know you probably can't see it, but I pulled up the video from Huddle. You're off to the races, but that one kid, he almost caught you.
Yeah,
he almost caught you.
He was fast. He was a little receiver, and you see he has a quick burst, and he gets close, but.
Yeah. I'm glad we didn't have like a Leon Letter or Deshaun Jackson moment there, as you drop the ball going across the line. Because you can be sure you would have never heard the end of that.
Never heard the end of it, no, not at all. That would have been one that people never would have let down at all. Now I'm going to quick pull up here. You had another memorable moment this past season before we get to some of Nolan's highlights here. This is from Lancaster McCaskey. You took an interception back 94 yards, which I don't think is the longest in Wilson history, but it's probably the longest for a lineman in Wilson history. And the video's up right now of you chugging along. You burned all of them. Like, I couldn't believe watching this happen. That was absolutely incredible to see. What were you thinking? Now, were you lined up at end and drop back, or were you a linebacker?
I was nose tackle.
You were nose tackle.
There's a play where they put me on nose tackle, and whenever we run it, I'm always thinking back to Warwick last year where I had the same type of play. They dropped me into middle coverage, and I spotted the quarterback.
Okay.
And he was about to get sacked, and he just threw the ball up and went right to me.
Cut right in front of it.
It's a great play.
That was incredible. And that was a crazy coincidence. That was the night that Seth was there.
Yep.
That was during the Lancaster McCaskey game, so that was awesome. Now, I mentioned a few minutes ago, the two of you absolutely love playing Manheim Township. You got to do it twice this year. Combined, let me see if I have it written down here. I'm pretty sure that I do. It's something ridiculous. Let's see. Rosa, 2 games against Township, 20 tackles, 8 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks. Nolan against Township, 3.5 sacks in the playoff game. What was it against Manheim Township that you were just went out? Like, was their line bad, or did you just know that Benjamin, you knew what he did?
It's just I just watched film on them, and when I knew we were going to play him in the playoffs, I just studied the linemen, how fast they got off the ball, how slow they got off the ball, and how quick Benjamin threw the ball. So, every play, I told myself, I want to get a sack, So,
and that's what you just did.
Yeah. It was one series where I got 3 sacks in a row, and it was just I kept telling myself, I want another one, and I want another one.
That was awesome.
So it was just it was just the best feeling.
It's got to be demoralizing as you're the guy lining up across from you, and you just beat me for a sack, and then you beat me again, and then you beat me again. It's time to punt at that point,
Time to just sell out. They probably should have tried running it. Although, you guys are getting tackles behind the line. It was ridiculous when I was looking up those stats for this, right here. I'm like, is this? Did they actually do this to Township? Because I remember being there and watching it happen on the field, but it didn't log in my memory how dominant you guys were against them. So when you advanced and you knew you were playing them the next round, after what you did to them in the regular season, were you like, oh, we got this? Do you carry that confidence, or do you think they're going to game plan around you?
Our team was great because we never got cocky. We were 10-0. We were still picked to lose the first game in the playoffs against Carlisle.
Yeah.
probably the toughest 16 seed ever to play.
Oh
in
yeah,
a district
Oh, my
that
gosh.
was definitely
They were a really good
And
football
I
team.
was about to say mismatch. It obviously wasn't a mismatch. It's a terrible seeding
Oh,
because
yeah.
they were a lot better than a 16 seed.
Oh, yeah.
But isn't that great when you're a great? You know you're a great team. You're getting, crapped on from people around. Whether it's them talking trash on Twitter, which we know happened during the season, whether it's writers not giving you enough respect. But it's better to play good teams, throughout the season. I mean, look at your non-conference, non-league schedule. You played the top 3 seeds outside of yourselves the first 3 games of the year. So going into the playoffs, does that really give you a great mentality, being like, we already were thrown into the fire. We came out on top, undefeated. We're just going to run the gauntlet again. Did you think entering the playoffs that you were the team to beat?
We're always the team to beat. And the fact that we ended up playing all those teams again, and Coach Dom's always specifically says it's incredibly hard to play a team twice, and we played all 3 of them again?
Yeah, you did. Yeah. You had Carlisle, then Township, then CD East, then Central Dauphin, and no matter what, you were going to play the district title against one of them because it was either going to be CD or Mifflin. Nolan mentioned it when we talked about highlights from the year. Starting off that first week with that kind of victory over Mifflin, what kind of momentum did that give you guys?
It was big. Going into the half, and I didn't think we were going to win that game. And just going into the half, coach just saying we got to pull out a big comeback win. And when we came out second half, we just tied it up and went into overtime. And when we won, that gave us the big boost of momentum going into the season.
Awesome.
I would have to think that at that point too, because I know this kills us to say sometimes, as Wilson people, but Mifflin was really good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, and everybody knew it. They were really good. Everyone kind of knew what you were going to get from them. I think Wilson, as you guys have said, everybody kind of doubted. The people here, I don't think, doubted as much, but it was still, a lot of people would say it was unknown. We didn't know what to expect. But a game like that, especially where it wasn't an easy game by any stretch, it was down. I'll be honest, I was in my car listening on the radio, and I had my doubts.
Dude, you left early?
No, I had water polo.
Oh, excuses. All right.
Hey, we have a fellow water polo player sitting at this table right now, all right? And it's not Nolan.
I think he'd be a good goalie. Honestly, I think he'd be a good goalie.
If we had anyone on the polo team half the size of either of these guys, that would be huge.
Wait, you're saying Ginther's not that big?
I'm saying that no one on our team is
Tristan
big.
Williams is a big guy.
Tristan is big. Yeah, but when you pat his hair down, it cuts down a little bit.
It goes through.
All right. Before we move on to your teammates who are standing right over here, I just want to ask you guys, colleges. You guys are you going to college? I know Austin. I've heard about you. Nolan, you furthering your education?
Yeah, I'm working on some things.
You're working
now.
on it too.
Hey,
are you looking to play football?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm playing football.
You have some feelers out there?
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, keep us posted. We'd love to hear. We love when you guys get to move on, going to more education, more football. That's awesome. So definitely keep us in the loop. Let me know when you make your decision. Okay. Austin, yours came out a couple weeks ago. What was the recruiting process like? I know you had offers from other schools. You ended up settling on Rutgers as a preferred walk-on. How far along in the process did you start talking to Rutgers?
I'd say probably around the end of December. I was lucky enough to get in contact with the director of recruiting. And it wasn't, right away they showed this great interest in me, but I kept talking to them, and I stayed in touch, and they watched my highlight tape. Coach Galliano told them that they'd show the other coaches what I could do, and I definitely waited a long time, and I was getting really nervous. I really wanted to play D1 football. I had an offer from Central Connecticut State, and I'm really thankful for that. But Rutgers, everything about it, every aspect of that school was perfection. I mean, it's close to home. I want to be close to my family. It's Big Ten football. You can't argue with that.
Yeah.
We won't argue with that.
We won't argue with that at all. Yeah, I know Justin and I, as huge Penn State fans, we're looking forward to you playing at a Big Ten school.
I know.
But it's okay.
We were really happy for you.
We also know you're a huge New York sports fan, and we don't hold that against you. You
Right.
and I used to go back and forth at West all the time. Rangers,
So
Yankees.
you're not too far.
I know.
You hop on the train and get there.
Well, we've got to wrap up here and move on, but congratulations to both you guys on an incredible season. I'm glad you guys are here taking in the event. Enjoy the rest of the evening, and thank you so much for joining us. Before you go, my man right here, we got some T-shirts for you. If you let him know what size you need, he'll hook you up.
All right, thank you.
All right?
Thank you very much for
guys.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
All right, let's go, Zerby and Templin. Let's go. All right, so we're going to move right along here to our last set of interviews for the evening here. We got two more Wilson football players joining us. Leaving now are Austin Rosa and Nolan Campbell. Joining us going to be Jake Templin and Chris Zerby. And Jake was the quarterback for the football team this fall. Chris Zerby played offense and defense for the Bulldogs. So we're really excited to have them here as well. I don't have much media-wise here for Jake because I wasn't sure he's going to be able to join us. I'll try to pull something up, but I do have Zerby's highlights. I'll play those for you while we ask him a few questions.
First of all, real quick, Zerby, how do you like this cold temperatures related to what we were in a couple weeks ago?
To say I miss Jamaica and the warmth.
Yeah. Even, it wasn't like real hot, when we were down there, but it was nice.
Yeah, it was.
And now, it is really cold. When we were bringing equipment in, I couldn't feel my hands today. It was awful.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Now, guys, first up, before we talk football, we're going to talk about the event here this evening. I see you're both wearing those awesome hot pink shirts, senior class of 2015. Were both of you involved with Mini-THON last year, or is this your first foray into the event?
Last year I came to the community hours, but I wasn't as big as a part as this year. I'm a little bit more involved with it.
Yeah, same here. I went to community hours last year, but this year I'm staying over the whole night.
Awesome. Yeah, it's great to have you guys involved. And we said at the beginning of the show we had Seth on, who you guys are familiar with from the fall. He hung out with you guys the week of Lancaster McCaskey, and he really was appreciative of everything you guys did all week long, especially Friday night at the football game. After, in the process of destroying McCaskey, you incorporated him into all the team functions. Him and his mom were so pleased with everything you guys did for them that week. What was it like to have Seth with the team, and what kind of energy did he give you guys entering that game that Friday?
It definitely gave us a lot more motivation for the game to know that we're playing for something more than just ourselves and stuff. And just thank Nate Benz. He was really leading the charge for our team and supporting Seth and everything.
Yeah, it was a cool experience to hear his story and actually have him on the sideline while we were playing, and coming off and talking to him during in between plays and stuff. And playing for him gave us a little extra push.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know, Joey mentioned this already, but just hearing them, Seth and his mom, talk about, that was the highlight of his school year so far. He said that week, that meant so much to him. He was so excited. It's cool because, then I hear his mom telling how she tells everyone how great the football team and how great the community and the school and everyone are to Seth and the family. And, and that's always a good message to get out. And it's easier when to get that message out when people are doing good things, like taking Seth in for a week or raising money here at Mini-THON, standing all night and all kinds of crazy stuff. So we appreciate all that you guys do, to help us get that message out.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, so you guys had a pretty successful year this past year with the football team. Hi. You going home? Oh, come here.
Yeah, I think so. We talked about this with some of your teammates and some of the other seniors. I think Joey said your record was 39 and 4.
39 and 4.
Yeah, 39 and 4 in the 3 years. That's absolutely incredible. When we talk about that, that's 43 total games. I like to remind everyone you're guaranteed 30, right? You're guaranteed 30 games, and you guys got to play 43, which is just absolutely amazing. If you had to think of a highlight, either as a team or kind of personally, what really stands out to you from this past season? You can both answer. It doesn't have to be the same thing.
For me, I definitely think just obviously the Mifflin game, just how big the rivalry is and just the fashion in which we won. It was a pretty special moment.
Yeah, absolutely. I know a lot of people kind of talk about Wilson Mifflin. It's kind of like NASCAR in the sense that like the biggest game's the first game. And obviously that's always going to be a big one. How about you, Jake?
I think the district championship, because no one knew or thought we would get there, and we got there and won. So that was a big game for all of us to prove a lot of people wrong.
Yeah, it's kind of been exciting. Again, another common theme from the guys who have been on the show tonight, just kind of how, it didn't seem to be lost on any of you that you weren't necessarily the consensus pick to win the district or any of that stuff, and you guys kind of just kept doing your job week in, week out, and that's no small task. You played some good teams early in the season, and you played a lot of those teams that were good as well at the end of the season again. To beat a team twice, I know Coach Doms isn't real thrilled when he has to play a team a second time. You guys kind of managed to run the gauntlet twice. That's pretty impressive.
We had Austin and Nolan on to talk about how they really like playing Manheim Township. Zerby, you had a pretty successful time against Manheim Township as well, and we said to them did you see something the first time around with Township or any team really that you got to play a second time? Did you expect them to game plan differently, or did you just know we can beat them straight up no matter what they throw at us? We got them, because you had a lot of success against Township.
Yeah. With Township and just like any of the other teams that we played before, like the Central Dolphins and stuff, our coaches they're really good at game planning for every team we face, especially if we're facing them a second time. We pretty much have them completely figured out. So, all the credit goes to our coaches, I feel like, making the game plan.
Now,
I hear that a lot, by the way. Like all the time when we're talking to the football guys, they're like, "We're so well prepared. We're so well prepared." Now, some of that is on, you have to put the time in to be prepared, but a lot of that comes from the coaches too. So.
Now, Justin asked you already, highlight from the year, what was the big moment, and you mentioned the Mifflin game. Obviously, putting that one aside because of the rivalry and how thrilling a game it was there another game the rest of the year, even if it wasn't for anything, not even Central Dolphin the second time around, or Warwick at the end of the year when you clinched, another undefeated season, was there one moment in a specific game or one game in general that you just felt, we've arrived, this is the moment that everyone can start to believe in us again?
For me, I just think when we played Central Dolphin the first time at Central Dolphin, because we came into the season with a new off-season schedule, or non-league schedule, and we knew those are going to be probably our three toughest games throughout the season, and able to come out of that 3-0, that's when I knew that we could be a good team.
Yeah. I think we've got a line dance going on right now, so it's pretty loud.
It's a little loud right here, right now. Zerby, I have your highlights going up right now. Obviously, you're the two-way player, offense, defense, lineman, linebacker. Got a ton of accolades on offense, lineman of the year. You only moved back to the line this year. Was it something you expected to do? Did you do it out of necessity? Because you were playing tight end 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I know it's not the glory position that a quarterback can be, but the linemen, they're always saying in the trenches, that's where the games are won. If you had to do it all over again and they say you can play tight end or guard, what would you actually pick?
To be honest, I really did enjoy my time at the line. I wasn't thrilled about it when I heard I was moving back, but I knew it was best for the team, and I had a good time with it. Just as long. Winning's more fun than any personal accolades. So whatever helps get the win, that's what I'm happy.
Funny how that works.
Yeah.
Now at guard and outside linebacker, there's a talented classes behind you moving on up. Who do you expect to fill your shoes at guard and linebacker next year?
Well, I know Fode Jalil, he was the other outside linebacker with me. He was only a sophomore, and he did an incredible job for us this year. So I think he's definitely just going to get better and better as the year goes on for linebacker. And we actually we got Ike, Keith Widener, Nick Klein's coming back off an injury, so I think our line should be really solid next year too. They're going to be have a really good team.
Awesome. Now, Jake, you quarterback of the team. biggest position on the field. Everyone's looking at you. You're taking over from essentially a 2-year starter, Matt Timochenko. What were your expectations coming into the year? Did you see what happened on the field? Is that what did you know that's how it was going to go? Like, did you know how close this team was, how talented this team was? And I guess the second part of the question would be, what's it like to be quarterback at Wilson with such the rich history of the position?
I knew we were a close group of guys, and we worked hard over the summer, but when we went in the 2 scrimmages, we didn't play so well, so I didn't know how the season was going to go, but I knew we were going to play hard the whole year, and I guess that's what needed to happen to win a district championship. And to be quarterback with following Chad Henney, Kerry Collins, even Seth Klein, Matt Timochenko, I mean, it's tough and it's big shoes to fill. So, I mean, I put my work in over the summer and it paid off.
Yeah, it paid off in a huge way. You have a bunch of Wilson records now.
I was going to say, I think some of those records that were some of those names you just mentioned are now changed or are changing if they haven't changed already. But yeah, so you had a heck of a season, to put your name up there with some of those other names that you mentioned. That's pretty awesome.
I know your quarterback coach, Mr. Palm, gave you football with a list of every touchdown, was it?
Yeah, it was every touchdown and the yardage of it. The art teacher here actually painted it for me. So
awesome.
That's awesome.
And he surprised me with it. One day I came out after school and he's like, "Hey, can you meet me?" And I was like, "Yeah," and he just gave me the football and I was totally surprised.
Okay, now I don't want you to have to throw anyone under the bus or take the fall. If someone gets mad about this question, you can not answer it, but they can't hear us anyways. Who is your favorite person to throw to?
Probably Jake Gaiman.
Jake Gaiman? Probably a good thing he's back next year then.
Yeah.
Now, I asked the same thing to Zerby. You had an understudy in Jake Klein. Is he going to take over for you? Is he the next? We're going to go Jake to Jake?
There's a competition between him and Colin Powers.
Okay.
So we'll see over the summer, I guess, who works the hardest and who can step up.
Any chance of any of the real young guns, any of the 2B sophomores? I know you had, was it Grayson or something?
Yeah, Grayson Klein.
There's a couple young guys. Do you see any potential in them making it like a 3-way battle?
Unless if they work really, really hard and prove themselves, but I don't think so. I think
It's generally, Coach Dom says this throughout the year, this is a senior-run football team. You work your way up, you work your butt off, you learn the system, then it's your time to shine. We saw that this year they chronicled Connor Ritter and Connor Howe, how that they just, worked their way up and they got to start. That's kind of what you're saying, the quarterback position it tends to be. If you have this rotation, you have one in each class, the guy just kind of steps up. That's what you did. Timochenko leaves, you're the senior, you step up, and look what you were able to do. So Jake Klein probably is the guy to fight with Colin Powers. Both will be seniors next year.
Yep, they're going to be seniors.
So,
hey, competition, that's good. That can breed, success.
Yeah.
When you got guys fighting, no one thinks it's going to be handed to them. That's a good thing.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely.
Just watching some of those where you threw it up there.
All right, now, what kind of plans do you guys have after graduation here? You have just a few months left at Wilson. Are you both going to be going on to college? Are either of you going to be playing football?
I think I decided that I'm going to be attending Penn State University, and I don't think I'm going to be playing football in college. I don't know. I'm just going to explore my options as a student. I mean, I'm definitely going to try to get involved with some kind of sports. I don't know if it's club, lacrosse, or anything like that, but we'll see how it goes.
Okay, awesome. What about you, Jake?
I'm looking between schools right now for Widener and Albright to try to play lacrosse. And then if I don't go there, Westchester just to go to school and like Zerby explore.
Are you guys settled on any kind of majors? You know what you want to study moving on to college?
For me, I think I'm going to study business marketing. That's what I'm going to try to major in.
Awesome.
I'm going to major in finance.
Oh, awesome. Great. Now, Zerby, you mentioned Penn State. Did you take the family out of it, or is this your choice? Did you know growing up that's where you wanted to go, or did your brother go in there? Is this all you, or you're like, I had some people kind of in my ear saying this is probably somewhere you'd like to go?
I mean, there's definitely a strong influence. I mean, I've had my brother, my dad, 4 cousins. My aunt works at Penn State Berks. But yeah, so there's a strong influence of Penn State. When I was growing up, every time I envisioned myself in college, I envisioned myself there. So it was hard to turn away. And it's a great college with education and everything. So I'm happy to.
Yeah, having 4 years of experience there myself, I don't fault you in any capacity wanting to go there.
Yeah, he understands.
I completely understand, because if someone gave me the money to do it again, I would more than do it again for many reasons. What was it like having someone on the football team? Like you're going to see your brother play there.
I mean, it was awesome. It was incredible. I mean, I was just super happy for him, because I know that was always his dream growing up to play there, and he actually got a shot and ended up, starting and becoming a captain. I'm just really proud of everything he did there.
Last season, when he led the way for the touchdown in overtime against Michigan, Joey and I just watched that highlight of him just steamrolling the guy over and over again. We watched it over and over and over and over again. Yeah, and I think that was one of the reactions, because I was up there with my wife. Yeah, I was up there with my wife, and I was screaming, and I was screaming the whole time. when I'd see him, I'd see 35 check into the game. I'm like, we got this. I was like, Zerby's in the game. We got this. They went for it on 4th down. I'm like, we got this. Zerby's in the game. We're fine.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a special moment. I was at that game. It was
that was pretty crazy. Incredible atmosphere. Well, thank you guys for joining us. It was a privilege to have you guys on, talk Thon, talk football, and what you guys are going to do in the future. Have fun the rest of this evening, and good luck the next few months as you finish your high school career.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, guys.
All right,
thank you. Thanks for having us.
All right, so that was Wilson quarterback Jake Templin and Wilson linebacker and offensive lineman Chris Zerby. So we're going to finish up some stuff with them here, and then eventually we're going to have on another interview with a second Four Diamonds family. The Buckley family will be joining us in a little bit. So before they do that, we'll get back to some sports talk, and we will dive into one of our best of series, and that's going to be covering all-time quarterbacks, which we love to talk. It's something that we do often, and we think it's time to revisit that, and we're going to do that in just a few minutes here once thing gets underway. I think we've now been on the air over an hour, so we're going to take a couple-minute break here to get rehydrated, and we'll be back to talk who are the best quarterbacks of all time in our opinion. This is the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, live from Wilson Mini-THON 2015. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
Thanks, guys. Yep, thank you.
back here at Wilson Mini-THON. We just finished up the majority of our interviews for the evening, and those were with a bunch of Wilson football players. We were joined by Nate Bentz and Fort Diamond's family, Seth and his mom Elizabeth. Then joining us after that were Austin Rosa and Nolan Campbell. Followed up was Jake Templin and Chris Zerby. Now we're going to talk a little bit here, just do some sports talk with us, just Justin and I, for a few minutes here before we move on and do another interview. We're supposed to be with another Four Diamonds family, the Buckley family, probably in the next half hour or so. So Justin and I are going to talk a little bit of NFL action here. Specifically, like I mentioned before we took a little break, our best of series, all-time quarterbacks, and we've done this before. We've talked quarterbacks in NFL all the time. It's pretty much what we do August through February, and the quarterback discussion is always a good one. It's always a lot of debate going on about it, and especially when we're talking all-time, not just current, the guys who are the best in the league right now, but all-time quarterbacks. There's always a huge debate as to, who's at the top. Even just doing this about a year and a half ago or so, I don't think we agreed on too many. We had a top 5, I think, and then a couple just missing and honorable mentions and all that kind of stuff. I know in the year and a half since we've done the show, my list has changed and changed a lot.
Yeah, I have to say my list, I think, has changed too. I don't really. This is so tough, and we talked about that before. Whether you base it off of stats or wins or Super Bowl wins or all kinds of stuff. Like, there's so many things to bring into like the calculation. Let's say it's really tough. It's really tough to try and kind of figure out what exactly it is that. Or I shouldn't say all those things obviously factor, but trying to figure out how much you weigh each of those things can be really tough. And some of the people, have had their entire story, for lack of a better, word, their entire story or their case has been made and has been set for years.
Right.
And other people, it's still evolving, it's still changing, maybe better or worse. And so it's kind of interesting to see how that will affect kind of our the way we look at this here.
Right, and hopefully everyone can hear us. They're still learning the line dance down here. Again, we're live from the Wilson Gymnasium in West Lawn, Pennsylvania at 2015 Wilson Mini-THON, benefiting a Four Diamonds Fund at Penn State Hershey Children's Hospital. Justin and I were invited here to do our sports show live from the event, and we're going to be talking with a couple of Four Diamond Fund families throughout the night. Next up, hopefully in the next half hour, will be the Buckley family, who have unique ties with the Penn State men's ice hockey team. We'll talk about that. But before they join us, we're going to do our best of series, all-time quarterbacks. And I think maybe the best place to start is we'll do a top 3 this time around.
Yeah.
So we'll start at our last position, number 3. I'll go first to give you some time to think about it, formulate your opinion.
Okay.
My number 3 this time is actually who I think I had at number 1 previously. Again, it was a year and a half, I think, since we've done this. But my number 3 this time around is actually Brett Favre. He was my number 1 before looking at it.
I know that killed you.
It did kill me. It hurt a lot. It was painful because for the longest time I always maintained that I really thought from, as physical specimen and statistics, I really thought that Dan Marino was the greatest quarterback of all time. I'm always open for opinions and debate and things to go over. And I opened it up, looked at more statistics, examined some film. The one thing that maybe puts him over the top, and I'm not one to harp on this, but he did get a Super Bowl. Marino got to 1, didn't win it. Favre got to 2, only won 1. But maybe if I'm gonna look at it and say they're different style quarterbacks, both put up incredible numbers, long careers. If I have to do a tiebreaker, and we've said this in the past, maybe Super Bowl wins can be that tiebreaker. Unfortunately, Favre gets it over Marino. So obviously Marino's not in my top 3 anymore. If Favre dropped to 3, I'm not going to jump Marino over him. So that kills me even more because I dropped my man, Dan Marino, completely out of the top 3. Now maybe he'd be in the top 5. We're going to talk a little bit about just missing the cut and honorable mention and things like that. But my number 3 quarterback of all time is Brett Favre, who it looks like will be officially recognized by the Packers this coming fall, have his jersey number 4 retired with the Green Bay Packers, where he spent the majority of his career, at least the dominant portion of his career. Started in Atlanta, traded to Green Bay, ended up with the Jets and Vikings, but he's a Packer for life.
Yeah, and I am glad to see that they're going to honor him next year. I feel like as he's being further removed from the whole will he play again, will he not play again stuff, that distaste for him for me. I'm not saying like overall, but for me, is kind of going away. It's hard to believe, and I almost forgot that he went to the Vikings, didn't he, at the very end?
Yeah.
And he played for the Jets, and
he went to the Jets first, and then went at the Vikings. But I never was that I underrated him as a player. I knew he was a very good player.
Right.
I did at a time think he was overrated, but it was really more the mentality and off the field stuff that just bothered me. He's just such a prima donna. It just ate away at me. And for a while, people thought I was like being contrarian, that it was just me and me only that saw this. And we've talked about this before on the show, that if I don't like a sports personality, that's not a good sign for them.
I was going to say, you usually end up nailing it right on the head, and it may take years, but you usually do get it.
I wasn't a Lance Armstrong fan.
You weren't.
I wasn't a Tiger Woods fan. This was before any of the stuff happened with any of these guys.
Dude, it's okay, because we'll talk about those guys a different time. But anyway, as my third, I'm going to go Joe Montana as my third. I think I go back and forth, because sometimes I'm like, he played in an incredible, with incredible players, Hall of Famers all over the place there, through the front office even, Hall of Famers. But, part of me is like, what, maybe the quarterback is part of that. Now, you look at, well, the guy that followed him made the Hall of Fame and all that stuff too. Well, yeah, but I mean, that could be like a testament to just having two guys that happen to make the Hall of Fame. Andrew Luck's a long way from that yet, but you could say that about Peyton Manning and Andrew Luck. They could have back-to-back Hall of Fame quarterbacks there. I know they're a long way. Peyton Manning could quit today. I don't think he's going to, although that's not up. That's still up in the air. And he's getting into Hall of Fame in 5 years. But when we look at Joe Montana, I think the more I look at it, the more and more I am impressed. And when you look at his overall stats, he has great stats, but they're not going to blow you away like some of the guys today. But the game is so different from the 80s as it is to now. So, that's something we have to take into account as well. But I'm going to go with Joe Montana, the 4 Super Bowls that the Niners got, undefeated in the Super Bowl. Not that that's the deciding factor, because if it was, he'd be number 1.
Right, yeah.
But it is a factor, and I think it's something I can't ignore it either. While it's not the deciding factor to make him number 1, right, it's enough to get him on my list at number 3.
Yeah, right. It's interesting you mention him, because if we had the time to do a top 10, Montana would be in my top 10, but I actually have him listed here under my honorable mentions. So I think he would be probably my 9th, because I think actually personally, I think his career has been hyped up and overrated. Now, number 3 is fine. We can get in a fight if we had more time and a place that we could be a little less civil maybe, and had the ability to jump into a lot of stats. We could go back and forth on Montana. I'd have him in my top 10, but not my top 5. Definitely not my top 3, because I think the 4 Super Bowls elevate him too much.
Oh, yeah, and that's where, because he went 4-0 in the Super Bowls, that is what elevated him to my number 3. Because I probably have him 5 or 6-ish, but 4-0 in the Super Bowl means a lot to me, and so I'm gonna bump him up to 3, mostly because of that.
I mean, obviously, neither of us are gonna pick Terry Bradshaw in our list. He wouldn't even make my top 10. He gets elevated because of the 4 Super Bowls, but at least people see that he was a good quarterback,
but he wasn't even
level.
Like. You can argue that Joe Montana wasn't the best player on his team, because Jerry Rice was there. I'll give you that. But you could make an argument that Terry Bradshaw wasn't the 2nd or 3rd best player on his team.
Oh, yeah.
Any of the years.
The funny thing is, at the end of Joe Montana's career, he might not even been the best quarterback on his team.
Well, yeah, and I was going to say, statistically speaking, now Super Bowls are a different story. Statistically speaking, Ben Roethlisberger has already had a better career than Terry Bradshaw did.
Right.
Now, 4 Super Bowl wins says something, that you can't just write off, like I just said. But Terry Bradshaw is good because he was the quarterback for those teams, but I'm not putting him anywhere near Joe Montana.
All right, before we
I don't think you are either.
Before we do our
legitimate
top
point.
2, I want to ask Greg about his opinion on this topic as well, and see who he can pull out of his head on who he thinks are some of the greatest. He doesn't have to give us a rundown on who his top 3 would be, unless he knows it off the top of his head. It's a difficult thing to ask people, is looking across the wide spectrum of the football world. We're talking best quarterbacks of all time. Who would be, you don't have to go in order if you don't want, we're doing top 3. Who are the ones that come to your mind?
Well, I'm not an NFL history buff, but the ones that really come to my mind currently, it's really hard to ignore Tom Brady, as hard as that is to stomach and fathom, and Bill Belichick does not help him out at all, with the likability at all.
No, he just definitely does not.
But you can't ignore what he's done and how good he still is. And I just find it amazing that the first 2 games happened this year and people wrote him off and said Belichick-Brady era is done. Is this writing on the wall for them? And he won the Super Bowl. So, stat-wise, you just can't ignore everything he's done. And, for a long time, maybe even until this year, I would have said Peyton Manning definitely over Tom Brady, but I think the Super Bowl wins and the playoff wins definitely kind of overtake him. But I consider those the 1-2, and they're real close to each other.
So you think we're actually seeing 2 of the greatest quarterbacks of all time right now?
Yes.
Which is kind of incredible.
Yeah, it is.
To say we're watching 2 that could be the best ever playing right now.
It is, and for number 3, it's real hard to say because, like I said, I'm no history buff. I mean, the names come to mind, and people would argue that like Joe Montana or like Joe Namath, that you go back and you list all these great Hall of Famers, and I didn't see them play. I mean, I saw Joe Montana play when I was like 3 and 4, and watching Steve Young take over for him, and I was really just getting into watching football then. So, as far as stats go, you probably have to put Joe Montana up there. With being somewhat naive, besides the 2000s until now, I really don't know who else to say besides him. You have Dan Marino, who had so many stats and records, and John Elway had a great career too. Not many people throw him into the mix of the greatest of all time, though. So.
I honestly, I think you might have stolen Justin's thunder, because I think you might have picked his top 3 in order. I don't know. I could be wrong.
We'll see.
But you actually bring up a great point. You mentioned John Elway being in there. I think he's definitely worthy of being in the conversation. To me personally, when I was doing this revised list, I had him 5th. Okay, so my 3 was Favre. I went with Marino at 4th, and then Elway 5th, because he was an incredible physical specimen coming out. I know your mom does not like the saga that Elway brought to her team, but when he got those 2 Super Bowl wins, that elevated him in a lot of people's minds to be in this conversation, in this argument. And I have him 5th, in front of guys like Breeze, Tarkenton, Young, and Montana, and then actually Dan Fouts, who would round out my top 10. But so we did 3 and on. Let's move on to our top 2. I'll let you go first with your number 2.
My number 2 is going to be John Elway.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm throwing a wrench in this for you now.
He's throwing it in there.
All right, so I'm going to throw John Elway in there, and again, like you said, I think some of the things, he got blown out a couple times in Super Bowls early in his career. He compiled a lot of stats, which compiling stats, again, we talk about how much do you weigh different things. He had good years, and he had, he played for some bad teams. The whole Baltimore thing, like that, if I was a Baltimore fan or even really like alive when he did that, because I think that was the spring before I was born, I think. Was he in the class of 83?
I think you're right.
That draft class?
I think so.
So that was like right before I was born. So like, if I was around now, that would be a bigger deal to me, especially with the family ties to Baltimore. But I don't really ever remember the Baltimore Colts.
No, neither do I.
That doesn't really factor in for me. So because of that, like I ignore that. I look at it. Again, this is just personal stuff. Like the winning the 2 and then walking away. That's just incredible.
The greatest, right?
Like that's incredible. It's
that's
like
the goal.
It's the equivalent of the mic drop, and he did it on the biggest stage in American sports, and maybe in American sports, he did it on the biggest stage. Basically, won 2 Super Bowls, pinnacle of his career. He did it with different tools, all over the place, and then he walked away. That's awesome. I was really excited.
Yeah, you definitely threw a wrench into my foreshadowing because I thought I knew your top 3. So you definitely shocked me there with that. It's funny he brings up Elway. We talk about him. He's your number 2. I did not know that, which is really interesting because I know you got to leave one of my top 2 out.
Yep.
And I thought we were definitely set in stone that we knew who the top 2 were. We had this conversation. Maybe you're ready to You're not ready to jump on the bandwagon quite yet. But I'm actually going to go. My number 2 hasn't changed. Actually, he was my number 2 a year and a half ago when we did this. My number 2 is current Broncos quarterback Peyton Manning, who I expect to be back for another year. We'll see what happens. But I think he comes back another year. I have him at number 2, just like I did before. And I just think if you're looking at a pure pocket passing quarterback, Peyton Manning is the epitome. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, move your phone up.
Okay. Peyton Manning is the epitome of a pocket passing quarterback. He's got the statistics. He's got the mentality. He has the dedication. There's probably no better student of the game than Peyton Manning. I said this a year and a half ago that I really thought that he would possibly go down as the greatest quarterback of all time when he was finished. Now, he's having a difficult time of that because there's someone else playing up to his level, if not more. And that is a guy that we're going to talk about a little bit later. So it's going to be hard, I think, for Manning to jump up and be the number 1 guy. I think it's going to be difficult unless he gets help from the team around him and finishes just like Tom Brady did at the end of the last season.
Yeah, with the way things have gone the last couple of years, it is tough to see if he's really going to move a whole lot more. I don't think how things are going now necessarily take away from what he's done, but I don't know really that he can add much more to what he's done either. You know what I mean? Like I think he's reached a peak. Like the best we've already seen it, and I don't know kind of that he'll be able to add to it. So that's definitely a strong point. And it is something I've taken into consideration too. Whereas some of the other guys, including at the top there, are still might have another year or so to add on to that. So it is going to be interesting to see how that shuffling continues to play out over the next few years, and then kind of as we remove ourselves from the situation a little bit too.
I think I can almost guarantee that for him to get to number 1, he has to win a Super Bowl before he retires. I really think, at least to me, obviously this is all my opinion and speculation, but I think that for him to finish, to me, as the best quarterback of all time, he needs another Super Bowl ring. I don't even think getting to another one is enough because he's been to 3. He's won 1. If you take postseason completely out of it, just look at statistics in the regular season. I really think that Peyton Manning probably is the most successful quarterback of all time. But then when you look at the postseason, and this is what his detractors always pointed out, I don't want to feel like I'm abandoning him and jumping on that bandwagon. I just think something happened this year that completely changed the game.
Right.
I still, obviously Peyton Manning being number 2 of all time, he should be a unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer. Not even close.
Yeah.
Just like basically everyone we talked about in our top 5, probably even top 10, should have been unanimous first time selection in the Hall of Fame because they were that good. They meant that much to the position, that much to their team, that much to the NFL. But Peyton Manning is stuck at number 2, and he just can't get over this hump. You thought maybe last year was that opportunity, but he just wasn't able to do it. People on that team actually come out that they kind of thought that they had it in the bag, that they were going to be handed that game.
Right.
And that was a bad mentality to have against a team like the Seahawks.
Yeah, and they pretty much, it was the exact opposite of that. They pretty much handed it to the Seahawks, and then they weren't going to let go. Yeah, so we talked. You had, we talked about our number 3s. I think we've settled in at our number 2s now. Do you want to give your number 1, or do you want me to give?
Yeah, I'll give my number 1. Maybe it's not the same. Well, let's see. Is your number 1 Peyton Manning?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, then why don't you go ahead and talk about your number 1?
So
I just did it.
I'm going to go number 1, and that is Peyton Manning. And the reason I am going to go with that, I feel like he has done, and I'm not talking about teammates here. I feel like, from a skill set standpoint, he's done an incredible job being able to take, what he was working with and be able to be so successful. So the level that he was able to achieve while he was, working from, he started on a terrible team. He was able to work them into an annual contender, for the Super Bowl. He leaves, they're terrible, right? He left, they were absolutely god-awful. Not when he left, when he couldn't play because of the injury. And to kind of talk about the Tom Brady stuff here. Now, well, actually, I'll come back to that in a second, because obviously he's glaring and I left him off. So do you want me to wait on that to talk about why I left him off and just talk strictly about Peyton Manning?
Go right ahead.
So Peyton Manning, I'll just finish up here. Peyton Manning, regular season, a lot of people say he's the best regular season quarterback. You could argue for other people and make strong arguments. To me, he is the best regular season quarterback, absolutely. He's not the best postseason quarterback, but to me, he's still good enough in the postseason. When I look at games like this year was tough. It ends up, he had a torn muscle in his leg. And, is that an excuse? Yeah, pretty much. Is it a good excuse to not win? Well, it didn't necessarily. Others overcame injuries and stuff. I understand that. But to me, what he did in the regular season is so far and above what other people have done. And he has had success in the postseason. I think a lot of the postseason success isn't necessarily due to Tom Brady, but due to the system. And by system, I don't mean like offensive play calling or anything. I just mean like the system New England has in place. We talked about it on last week's show. New England as a team is the best prepared team you can possibly ever have every week. And that's not, Tom Brady's not preparing the team. Tom Brady is preparing the offensive guys some. I'll give him that.
Yep.
Also, I'll throw this out there, and I know you're going to be mad. Actually, you might not be mad. You'll probably get a kick out of it. I know some people will be mad. I'll be willing to put Tom Brady in my top 3 when people put Barry Bonds as the best home run hitter of all time. All right, that's probably a bit extreme. But don't get me wrong. Has he had success in the playoffs? Yes. Has he played for a coach that is a known cheater over and over again? Yes. I'm not saying that that's the reason they won, because it's not necessarily, how it played out, But I don't think they necessarily won because of cheating, but I don't think they necessarily won their games because of Tom Brady either. So you look at every one of their, when they've won the Super Bowl, I feel like it's come down to their defense has won it for them. Now, you could say that about probably every team ever that won the Super Bowl. But the teams in the mid-2000s were great defensive teams. And the team this year was better defensively than a lot of people thought and made a defensive play to win the Super Bowl. Offensively, Tom Brady, I know he won MVP, and he had a solid game. He had a good game. And if you look at other Super Bowl statistics, it's one of the better Super Bowl games. But that's because if you throw out the first 40 years, because quarterback play now is nothing like it was for the first 40 years.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So statistically, that's just not going to, you're not comparing the same things. Listen, I understand any argument people make for Tom Brady being the best. Absolutely. And I honestly was flipping back and forth between, do I have him first or is he off my list? And I'll be honest. You know how we talk about this. That may change tomorrow, but today, you know what? Today, for some reason, I'm keeping them off the list.
That's perfectly fine. It's a little surprising.
I don't know that it's rational. It's probably irrational, but that's the fun in sports.
You know,
right?
I know we were talking about it. It seemed like we were both thinking that he probably should be number one, and then you threw the boomerang at me. You're like, oh, here, you know, this is what I'm thinking. You know, it comes back to me now. I'm going to change everything. It's funny because you know, we both had Manning on our list, but that was it. You know, we only did a 3, so it was hard to fit everyone in there. But I really thought that our 1 and 2 were going to be the same, maybe flip-flopped, possibly. So I like your opinion mentioning when you can consider Barry Bonds the home run king, you'll maybe consider Tom Brady the greatest of all time, because I have 2 different thoughts on the cheating related to each of them. And, you know, it could be maybe they're related, maybe they're on the same page, maybe they're not. To me, I just see, and I'm completely in agreement when I think with you that I think the people that use steroids should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, because you'll never know for a fact who did and who didn't.
Right.
Yeah. Barry Bonds, I know honestly, I would be willing to bet that the same percentage of hitters that we're using is reflected in the pitchers, if not higher in the pitchers. You know, so I think that you know that gets overlooked, and I think eventually they will. I don't know, because the Baseball Hall of Fame is so weird.
Yeah.
But I'd like to think that someday they'll get in, and it just has to be addressed. Just call it for what it is. Listen, steroids are prevalent here. You know, these guys were. You can even put these guys were suspected. I get that. I understand. But you know what? You know what was awesome TV? Watching Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa belt home run after home run. It saved baseball.
Completely. Absolutely.
They saved baseball, and that era saved baseball. Whether baseball wants to admit that or not, I get it. That's weird for some people to admit. But someday they're going to have to come to terms with that, and that's okay. Like, you know, there's lots of it's never the wrong time to do the right thing. Like, I don't want to get carried away with that. But at the same time, I just want to be clear. Like, there's a lot of people who have revived things by not necessarily doing like the most squeaky clean things, you know. And while Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa certainly aren't, I think you can't overlook what they did for baseball.
No, I agree with you.
And to me, I'm not saying Tom Brady wouldn't. And we get into this with Barry Bonds a lot. A lot of people say Barry Bonds was a Hall of Famer before the steroids because of his steals and his defense and you know, all that stuff. Well, Tom Brady, they may win 4 Super Bowls, the cheating, and I'll call it that because I honestly believe that some of the things they did were cheating. But, you know, do they win 4 Super Bowls without that? Possibly. Did they cheat during the Super Bowls? I don't even know. Like, I don't know. But that's the point. I can't say no. You know, like, to me, that's the point.
Yeah, and that's fine. I just
and I can't disagree with it. Like, that aside, it's hard to argue that he's not the best.
I feel like, you know, and this could be completely, I don't want to say hypocritical, but maybe I'm comparing apples to oranges, or I'm not linking things together correctly. But to me, steroids and Barry Bonds, he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. Give him the record, fine, but
you'll never consider him the greatest home run hitter.
Right?
Of all
Yeah,
time.
I guess that's the thing.
that.
Because to me, at least in my head, and I know there's arguments, and a close friend of ours, you know, our basketball analyst, Adam Fowler, talks all the time about it's not just strength to hit home runs. You need the hand-eye coordination. You know, you have to have that innate ability to do things like that. And I understand that argument, but I feel like I wish I had the study, a link to it, like how much, you know, beefing up your muscle mass by this amount related to this much more distance.
Right.
You know, how many of these home runs wouldn't have been? That's what I associate with Barry Bonds.
Well, and you look at things like, you know, recovery. When you're able to play so much as an old guy, you know, like, you're not supposed to get home runs as a late 30-year-old. Like, and again, there's been speculation just because of the era he played in. But if you look at his body, Ken Griffey Jr. was incredible. He had 40 home runs the year of the strike before the All-Star, but like he had an incredible year going, and the strike kind of ruined it, you know. But his body wore down; he couldn't keep it up, you know. So that's the natural progression that a lot of people thought you would see with players, and then all of a sudden there was this, you know, couple decade span where you didn't see that. Right? We're like, what's going on?
I guess what I'm trying to say with the cheating stuff that you bring up with Barry Bonds related to the Patriots and Tom Brady's legacy, when I look at it, I think to me there isn't really a correlation in the cheating and the winning. Because I looked at 2 weeks ago on the show with Zach when we were doing our Super Bowl preview.
Right.
We looked at the wins and championships and things like that. The only difference, is that you could say, well, during Spygate era, they won Super Bowls, whereas outside of Spygate until this year, they hadn't. But then this year you had the deflated football stuff. But that's irrelevant to the Super Bowl because that obviously didn't happen in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but what if they don't make the Super Bowl?
Okay, I know, and that's exactly what you can throw back. That's fine. But what I think is that the football cheating stuff was cheating in regards that it was against the rules. You shouldn't do it, but I think it had very little outcome on the actual games. Whereas to me,
the game they got caught.
Right.
I know. I'm just throwing the right.
Looking at the win-loss over the years, we talked about it. The wins-loss during Spygate were good. The win-loss after Spygate were incredible.
Right.
Like the only thing they weren't getting was the Super Bowl titles, and now they got this. Unfortunately, it is related to Deflategate now, and we'll see what happens to that probably next month. But to me, the cheating can be separated, isn't counted against Brady and Belichick in terms of on the field. You want to talk about off the field? They're not making the Hall of Fame as the greatest human beings of all time. They're just not.
Right. One of the things that I do want to mention, though, and I just want to know what your thoughts on this are. And if it's related at all. So you look at Peyton Manning. When he got injured, the Colts were the worst team in the NFL.
Yeah.
When Tom Brady got injured,
right,
they were the best team to not make the playoffs in the last 20, 30 years.
I know, and it's one of those things that I don't know how to explain it. Because
I don't either. Now, part of me, if Belichick is the greatest coach of, this era,
does that lessen Brady's legacy?
Right.
And I know. Trust me, I've gone over that.
Answer.
I've gone over that.
Right. I don't know the answer.
I don't know the answer to that
I think
either.
it's definitely something that, again, comes into consideration, but it's not necessarily something that I don't know what to do with that information.
Yeah. No, I completely agree because I thought of that back in 2008 when Brady tore his ACL in the first game and missed the year. Patriots went 11-5 with Matt Castle, missed the playoffs. I thought, I was like, this hurts Brady's legacy. And now this is at the time that they hadn't made the 2011 Super Bowl, they hadn't made this Super Bowl and won this Super Bowl, obviously. But I felt a hard time saying that. I don't know. I don't know why I chose to overlook it this time. I guess it's so hard to say. It's one of those chicken or the egg scenarios where is Belichick a great coach because of Brady? Is Brady
he wasn't that great
coach?
before he was
right,
with Brady.
Exactly. That's what you point out. You're like, well, he was terrible with Cleveland.
But he's also proven since Brady that he's been good.
Right. I think.
And I don't know that we'll get a long look after.
Well, I don't think we're going to get
time.
any look. I was going to say maybe when Brady retires, we'll see what Belichick's able to do with Garoppolo or whatever. But they might go out together. I don't know. That's what I'm thinking. So, and I think that's what adds so much intrigue to this debate. You can go on back and forth forever because there's so many things. And I hate to say this is a fact, but to me, Tom, if you could have this conversation, I don't care if you don't want to put him at 1. I don't care if you don't want to put him at 3. Because a year and a half ago when we did this, we didn't have him in the top 5.
Right.
Now, we said he'd get there. We were like, this is pretty much a guarantee. He was top 10, I think. I'm pretty sure he was top 10.
Yeah.
I think I had him like 6 or 7. I think you were right around that. Maybe you had him top 5. I don't remember. He was close if he was. But he will get there. With this Super Bowl and this year and a half that he's had since then, he's easily top 5. I think it's really hard unless you're, complete Patriots hater in every regard, which usually we're classified in.
Which I am, but I can't deny that,
You got to take your fandom and prejudices aside and look at it as a whole. You'd have to be insane to think that Tom Brady isn't one of the greatest 5 quarterbacks of all time.
And he is. And like I mentioned with mine, even though I had Peyton listed, I think the only way Peyton changes in my eyes is if, and I know I have him at 1, but he's not, even if he goes out and has a poor year next year and then hangs it up, or even if he hangs it up now, which I don't think is going to happen, but he's not going to necessarily negate the stuff he did before. And if I put him at 1 with 1 Super Bowl win, a second isn't going to make him above one for me, you know. Like, but I just think it's kind of, I don't really know. I don't know what Tom Brady could do in my eyes either, because again, and I don't know. I go back and forth on this, you know, on a daily basis. Like we talked about it. Like I said, we had that conversation. I said, I don't know how you don't consider him maybe the best of all time now.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, when I was looking at it, I'm just like, I don't know how I can say for sure that, because again, how legitimate are his wins and his record, not just from the other things, but from, well, they did it with Matt Castle, who was proven to be god-awful after he left.
I mean, he really didn't do anything in Kansas City. That was a terrible experiment.
Right, and Ryan Mallett, who was the backup there and looked good as the backup, then goes somewhere else, and it isn't anything special.
Yeah.
He didn't
so
get it
far.
right so far. Like, it'll be interesting to see kind of when the dust settles on all the other stuff. You know, when you look at the things, Deflategate, obviously, I like to bring those things up when I'm making that point. But I'm with you. I don't know.
You're just being a contrarian when it comes to that.
Right.
You're just trying to stick a needle into some of our listeners.
If it was the Eagles, I would ignore it. And
like any good fan.
Right. You know, when we talk about Eagles quarterbacks and Super Bowl wins, you know, there's a pretty short conversation. So, I admit that.
It sounds like this. This is background noise.
Yeah. So anyway, it is one of those things. You know, I am kind of amazed that Tom Brady has been able to just kind of keep it going. You know, and some of the guys he's made stars, like Gronkowski. Don't get me wrong, he has the skill set and everything to be a star no matter where he is. But I don't think he's the same guy if he wasn't taken in New England. You know what I mean? Like, I think he's a big guy. He's probably stuck on the line a lot. You know, he kind of. A lot of guys, when they end up in New England, I think are really thankful that they end up there.
Yeah.
In the beginning of their career, and late in their career, you know, sometimes the guys don't. I should say in the middle, because a lot of guys go back there at the end. But in the middle, I think guys are frustrated when they want to get paid. But at the same time, when they're looking for those rings and those chances for the rings, that's where they want to go.
Yeah, I did just see an ESPN notification that Peyton Manning has assured the Broncos that he is physically and mentally ready to play in 2015. So
I know he had a meeting today.
Peyton Manning is definitely coming back for 2015. This probably is his last shot. That's my guess.
Yeah.
I think physically and mentally he's done. I think he'll give it one more go with a new coach. I think this is his last shot. So we'll see what happens with that.
Just to throw it out there, I know he's 1-2 in Super Bowls right now. If he was to have a great comeback year next year and win the Super Bowl, win the whole thing, like, does he have a chance at 2-2 to pass Tom Brady at 4-2 overall?
I think it would have to be.
I think there's a chance.
I think there's absolutely an outside chance. I think there absolutely was an outside chance to do it. I feel like he'd have to have just an outstanding regular season followed up with a season almost like Flacco had 2 years ago in the playoffs, like one of those playoff runs.
Not where they're winning, you know, because they're a great team, but they're winning because like he's playing great, you know, and making big plays at
basically
big times.
Manning puts the team on his back. He wills them to victories. I think that's what would help him do it. If he does it throughout the postseason, wins the Super Bowl, gets another MVP, I think you can definitely talk about him being with Brady at 1. And it is incredible, you know, that Greg brought up, you know, is it biased that it's the guys we're watching right now? I'm sure people from the 60s and 70s would say that it is. But like you mentioned, playing quarterback then is not like playing it is nowadays. I know people will say, oh, well, the statistics are so much higher because there's so much passing going on. But there's so much more demanded of the position.
You know who's the one, I'll say old-time quarterback that I would throw in that probably would still be possibly in my top 5, and just from the way other people talk, I think Johnny Unitas is a special quarterback when it comes to what he was able to do and how long he was able to do it, and just I think, you know, I know a lot of the you know, people who watched football back then wouldn't want to hear it because they protect the quarterback now more than ever. Like, I get that, but you know what? They ask more of quarterbacks now than they ever have before either. Terry Bradshaw wasn't asked to put the ball, on the dime, 40 yards downfield, probably more than once a season,
Right.
And now it's weekly,
Yeah.
So it while they're protected more, it's definitely it's a completely different game. So anyway, it's a fun topic. I'm sure we'll touch on it again, at some point in the future. To recap, I had Montana, Elway, Manning. Do we want to do our just left outs?
Yeah, well, actually, I was going to throw you and put you on the spot.
Yeah,
I didn't know how much you were thinking about it. If if you were, looking at 5-10 guys. But yeah, so your 3-2-1 was Montana, Elway, Manning. My 3-2-1 was Favre, Manning, Brady, and I actually already mentioned when we talked with Greg about who mine were. So I'll go in order here: 1 to 10, Brady, Manning, Favre, Marino, Elway, Breeze, Tarkenton, Young, Montana, and Fouts is my top 10.
And when we get down there, obviously we're going to have some more, I say disagreements, I just mean ones where we're not matching up. I don't know that I can go 1 through 10 off the top, but I would probably go after my third. So I would go Manning, and then Elway, then Montana. I'd probably go Marino, then Favre, then Brady. And I honestly don't know where I would go then. I'm interested to see Drew Brees, how things play out. Does he have a year or two left in him, or was this year kind of how the Saints were, kind of the end of the line there, and we'll see that continue to derail next year. I'm really interested to see how that kind of plays out, because I mentioned last week, when we were talking about our preview picks, our prediction picks before last season, I kind of thought that, the Saints would turn it around, kept thinking they'd turn around, they never did.
Yeah.
I kind of thought that with Drew Brees, too, especially. Now, he put up some big numbers, but they were down a lot. And at the end of the season, there were a bunch of games where he put up horrible numbers, even when they were down a lot.
Yep.
So I don't really know what to make of that. It'll be interesting to kind of see how that plays out.
So I think you're at about seven or so.
So if I had
mentioned Unitas, would he be in there?
Yeah, I'll put him next. I'll put him next, and then I said Marino, right?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't leaving him out.
I don't think you said Young.
I'd probably go Young, then Breeze to finish out my top 10.
Now, I'm going to maybe pop your bubble here and put you on the spot hardcore, because we just kind of had a conversation that you had to be idiotic to keep Tom Brady out of your top 5, and you had him 6th.
I know. This is what happens when I pull him off the top of my head. Well, I'm an idiot.
Okay, so you're going to admit that you're an idiot, not that you want to reshuffle. So Brady is your 6th. You have him behind, in addition to it going, Manning, Elway, Montana, you went Marino, Favre, then Brady.
That asterisk is just weighing him down. Too
big to overcome in your mind. Wow, that's incredible. So it's about 8 o'clock here at Mini-THON. We're awaiting our next guest, probably possibly our last guest of the evening, depending on how things work out. We're entering the final hour of our first show from Wilson's Mini-THON 2015 at Wilson High School in West Lawn, Pennsylvania. This is Joe Mays and J-Raff, the J-Raff Show, episode 164. It's been a whirlwind evening so far. We had a great first hour, a bunch of interviews. We were joined by Seth and his mom, which was kind of fun.
Kind of awesome how I know the interviews went probably a little longer than we thought, but like the ability to just go from boom, 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 boom,
right in a row.
That worked out really well.
It was a lot of fun, and we'd love to get a couple of more here in the final hour of the show. I think before we do that, Justin and I are going to take a couple-minute break to rehydrate, maybe grab some food, and hopefully we'll have with you in the final hour the Buckley family, as well as Mini-THON student overall in charge of this, from a student standpoint, Ian Roth, who actually is an incredible, diverse person, athlete, philanthropist, musician. He does it all, so hopefully we'll be able to talk to him before time is up. Again, this is the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, live from Wilson Mini-THON 2015. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Welcome back to Wilson Mini-THON 2015. This is the Joe Mays and J-Raff show, live from the gymnasium at Wilson High School in West Lawn, Pennsylvania. Justin and we'll be back here in just a few minutes. We're getting ready for the last part of our show here. We're going on until 9 o'clock this evening. And we'll be talking with the Buckley family in just a few minutes. Their video just ended. They'll be talking to the crowd here at Mini-THON shortly, and then they are set to join us after that. And then to finish the show, we'll sit down with 2015 student overall chairperson Ian Roth will be joining us as well. So we're having a great time here at Wilson Mini-THON. I think I'll go back to what we started with at the beginning of the show at 7 o'clock. Or excuse me, at 6 o'clock when we started airing, we talked about what was Thon, Four Diamonds, and what's that all about, just to kind of give you a history and an overview of this event. You probably see, if you're watching on Ustream at home, a little thing that's bouncing around the screen that has the bulldog that says Mini-THON and please donate. If you click that, you can donate to Wilson Mini-THON and help increase their total of their fundraising this year. Last year they raised over $23,000. Their goal was $10,000. This year their goal was $50,000, and they were pretty close to, if not past halfway, just in online donations themselves. So I'm going to quick give the overview that I started with. We're going to be sitting down here with the Buckley family in a few minutes. Okay. What is this event? What are we doing here? What's going on? What's being run by the students here at Wilson High School in West Lawn? Well, this is a part of what is known as THON. It's part of the Penn State Dance Marathon. THON is a shortened name for the event. It was started in 1973 by members of the Greek community at Penn State as just a way to give back. It grew from a simple dance competition to a 46-hour community party, which is what it's like now. The main event for 2015 actually is next weekend in State College. It's one of the most incredible events you could ever possibly be a part of, to witness. If you're in Pennsylvania or tri-state area or something, and you ever have an opportunity to visit Penn State on THON weekend, I definitely encourage you to do so, because it's one of the greatest things you could possibly witness. I can't even begin to describe it. I've been to a number of them. Probably, I think I've been to 5-6 THONs in my lifetime. 4 years as a Penn State student, fully involved in the organization for 3 years. It's just an absolutely incredible event. So if you have ever get the opportunity to visit State College on THON weekend, please do so. It's just absolutely incredible thing to see and witness and be a part of. It takes, or 15,000 Penn State students are part of the event every single year. They help so much, whether it's fundraising, setting up for the event, working with the families of the Four Diamonds Foundations, whatever it is, they're there. 15,000 Penn State students. It's the largest student-run philanthropy in the world. The 2014 main event announced that the annual fundraising total reached $13 million for the 2014 Dance Marathon, which was a year ago. Again, we're 1 week out from the 2015 main event in State College next weekend. So they're looking to match and, as always, break their fundraising total from a year ago. Again, $13.3 million raised by Penn State students, Dance Marathon. And all that money goes to the Four Diamonds Fund, and it has been that way since 1977. In the nearly 40 years that Penn State Dance Marathon has been associated with the Four Diamonds Fund, they've contributed over $110 million. Just mind-boggling the amount of money that's gone to. Routinely, Penn State Dance Marathon advisors will get together with the Four Diamonds Fund and make pledges. We'll give you this much money over a certain amount of period, and routinely the Penn State students and the Dance Marathon are able to break through what they even expected to do. Sometimes they'll be given 5 or 10 years to do something, and they'll do it in 2 or 3. It's absolutely incredible. So the Four Diamonds Fund, you've heard me mention it. I've talked about it a bunch. It's part of a Penn State Hershey, specifically now the Children's Hospital. You can visit them at fourdiamonds.org. You can also visit THON at thon.org. And the Four Diamonds Fund mission is, and quote, to conquer childhood cancer by assisting children treated at Penn State Hershey Children's Hospital and their families through superior care, comprehensive support, and innovative research. Now, they support about 600 children and their families every single year. And since 1972, the Four Diamonds has helped more than 3,500 children and families. And what kind of support do they give? Well, the fund supports pediatric cancer research at the Hershey Children's Hospital, but also goes to assist 100% of the childhood cancer patients treated at Penn State. The fund has never turned anyone away. Everyone that's come to them and has been a part of Penn State Hershey Children's Hospital or Hershey Medical Center, they're there for pediatric cancer. The Four Diamonds Fund has been there to support 100%. You know, a lot of the times when we talk, it's always interesting to come up with a catchy name. There's something that's just associated with people can say, oh, you know, that. What's the name of it again? Well, why is it named that? Four Diamonds Fund is no different. It's catchy. I've heard about it, for over a decade. It's interesting, but a lot of times people don't know why is it called the Four Diamonds Fund. Why isn't it just a pediatric cancer research or a pediatric cancer fund, fight childhood cancer, something like that maybe would put it out there in the name alone. Well, the name goes back to the founders. It actually originated with the founder's son by the name of Christopher Millard. He wrote a story in the early 1970s. It was a fantasy story. It was a school project that Christopher Millard partook in, and he wrote a fantasy novel about Sir Millard, who was a knight, and he was searching for four diamonds, and the four diamonds represented courage, wisdom, honesty, and strength. And those four virtues are the traits that Christopher thought would help him overcome cancer. And in the story, Sir Millard, if you possess them, he was able to get rid of the grip that an evil sorceress had over him. So courage, wisdom, honesty, strength, those are the four diamonds that Christopher Millard set forth in his story. Those are what he was always looking to obtain. Those are the virtues that he felt he needed to overcome his battle with cancer. Unfortunately, tragically, as happens far too often, and what we're trying to combat here now, Christopher passed away at the age of 14, and his parents started the Four Diamonds Fund after he passed away. So that's what it is. That's what it's all about. Again, thon.org and fourdiamonds.org to learn more about fighting pediatric cancer, contributing to research, and helping Penn State students, Four Diamonds Funds, kids and families fight pediatric cancer. That's what we're doing here this evening. And where are we this evening? That would be at Mini-THON. Mini-THON is a small scaled-down version, high school version of the Penn State Dance Marathon. They started in the mid-90s as a way to get the high schools involved in their community, but participation has, in particular, skyrocketed over the last 10 years. They're up to over 130 schools now, with over 25,000 high school students contributing to mini-thons in Pennsylvania and surrounding states. During last year, the 2013-2014 academic year, Mini-Thons contributed over $3.1 million to the Four Diamonds Fund. Wilson joined the parade last year, having their first Mini-Thon in March 2014. They were able to raise $23,528.73, a great first year total, as their goal was $10,000. So they more than doubled what they expected to get last year. So a great first year event for Wilson High School. So they're back again this year with year number 2 of their Mini-Thon. That's where we are right now. And they've set a goal for 2015 at $50,000. Now, on their online donations alone, I know they've got to over $25,000, but I don't think that includes any other contributions at all that they've solicited, including the events here at the door to gain access to the community carnival and whatnot. So there's a lot more money to be counted, and we'll be on the air live tomorrow to be here when they debut the total that they were able to raise for Thon 2015 for Mini-Thon at Wilson High School. Again, if you're watching us on Ustream, I have a little thing on the page where you can click on the link and donate to contribute to Wilson's Mini-Thon. We encourage you to do so. You know, every bit counts. If any money you can spare, absolutely contribute in some way. Again, you can click on that link that you're watching on Ustream to help out Wilson's Mini-Thon and contribute to the Four Diamonds Fund, Conquering Childhood Cancer. Okay, that's the recap. That's why we're here. That's what we're about. We're going to be joined here in a few minutes by the Buckley family, and then by Mini-THON overall, Ian Roth. So, what's the atmosphere like, Justin?
It's incredible. I took a stroll around there during the break before I was able to get back and on the air with you. I know a number of the people who were here last year mentioned how they're just so excited to see how things have taken off, and there's such a good crowd here. The energy, is good, which is good because we've got a long way to go. Especially the people down there who are dancing. Especially the people who are down there dancing away. And seeing how, they've got the long haul. The countdown ticker is not too far off from us. It's off to the side, and it's counting down the hours and minutes that they have left, and yet no one seems to be deterred by that at all. They're still going strong and having a good time. Lots of fun being had down on the floor. Lots of people are around at the Raffauf, at the fun house at the far end of the gym. The concession stands are pumping out food as fast as they can. All these things that are going to add money towards reaching that goal of $50,000, that lofty goal of $50,000. But again, setting those high goals. I know one of the things Joey mentioned earlier. A lot of the background info, but one of the things I wanted to mention was just how awesome it is that the students, were able to kind of put this together. They do have help from a couple of the teachers who kind of help oversee some of the things and help direct them where they need to get help for certain things. But much like THON up at Penn State, this is a student-run fundraiser and event, and it's amazing to see when you put a few hundred kids together to see what they're able to pull off. This is pretty amazing. And like I said, the night's still early. We're going to be going all night long. Well, we won't be on the air all night long, but there's plenty of people who will keep the energy up all night, and we will join you again tomorrow morning.
Yeah, the dancers that they have here for Mini-THON will be going for the full 12 hours, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. No sitting down, no sleeping, staying up, having a good time, hanging out with the Four Diamonds Fun family, just really connecting with the community, and we're really excited about that. They were up to over 300 dancers this year. Last year they had about 120, so they more than doubled the amount of dancers that they have at the event, which is great to see. We love to see the event grow. That's what we want. We want more awareness. We want people to get involved, and that's what we're doing in year 2 at Wilson Mini-THON. But now we have a great honor of being joined by another guest here with us. Earlier, we talked to Seth and his mom, Elizabeth. Now we're going to get a chance to talk with a member of the Buckley family. And welcome to the show, Denny. We're pleased to have you.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Now, I realized today when you posted on Facebook that there was a milestone in your son's treatment today.
Yes.
I'm ecstatic to hear what happened today. It's an incredible thing to get to this point. So very happy for you and your family and for Colton.
It was, for us, it was very surreal for me and his mom. Colton just kind of washed it off just like everything else he's been through for the last 4 years. He had his port taken out today, which for a cancer patient, anybody who's going through stuff like that, that really means the official end of cancer treatment with the chemotherapy phase and all that stuff. He's been done with actual treatment since September, but they're confident enough now that they could remove the port. So
that's awesome. That's great to hear.
It's just an incredible milestone. When I saw that you post that today for the event this weekend and then next weekend, I said, what an incredible timing, because so many people just sharing the joy with you.
Perfect timing, perfect coincidence. We didn't plan it out that way. It just happened to work out.
That's wonderful. Absolutely great. So now, I know this is the second year for Mini-THON. Were you at the Wilson event last year?
Honestly, we weren't here. We were actually pretty disappointed we missed it.
Okay.
Being that it was the first year and all, there was a lot of things that they didn't know about us.
Yeah.
We didn't know about them.
Okay.
And I found out about the Mini-THON about 2 days after it happened, and I was pretty upset we didn't get here. It's just every time I hear about a Mini-THON local, I try to at least get there and make an appearance and talk if they want me to talk, or whatever they want me to do, because it's such a great thing with more and more kids getting involved and realizing how important it is to get awareness out there. I'm always willing to talk for anybody, anytime about pediatric cancer.
Yeah, right before you sat down, I was going over some statistics and figures for THON, Four Diamonds Fun, Mini-THONs, and that the website says that they're now up to 130 schools contributing to the Mini-THON program. Absolutely incredible. Now, you mentioned you've been to other Mini-THONs. What other schools have you been to?
We've been to Boyertown. We've been to Wyomissing. There was one other one out of the area, Souderton, I think.
Okay.
We've been invited to Saucon Valley, but they're going to do one in a couple of weeks. We're supposed to go to their Governor Mifflin.
Okay.
We did theirs. It's just the Berks kids seem to just find us and get us going to these places, and if we can get there, we get there.
Yeah.
It's as much as we can, we try to get to everyone we can.
It's wonderful to see this Wilson one, this local one for us, continue to grow. Like I said, double the number of dancers. They wanted more than double the total that they raised last year. We'll find out tomorrow morning. But they got the main event next weekend up at State College. Are you going to THON 2015?
Absolutely.
Oh,
Wouldn't miss it.
Wouldn't miss it.
Wouldn't miss it.
Yeah. Now, is there an aspect of the event that Colton particularly looks forward to?
Colton really loves the whole weekend, the whole thing, the whole being there with the kids down on the floor, shooting the kids with water guns, throwing the beach balls around with the kids. They notice that he's a THON kid, and they embrace him so much, and he just loves it. He can't have enough. He always wants to go down on the floor. Dad, can we go back on the floor? Can we go back on the floor? He'll go to the Wish events where he can hang out with some of the sports teams, and he still wants to go back to the floor. Which, being the sports fan I am, I want to go hang out with the sports teams. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's understandable, absolutely. Now, you mentioned you're a sports fan. I love the hat you have on right now. Absolutely incredible. And I'm sure it has a little bit to do with the association that your family and Colton has with the Penn State hockey team.
Yes.
Now, this will be your fourth THON?
Yes,
fourth
this
THON.
will be fourth. Yeah.
Have you been connected with Penn State hockey the entire time?
Yes.
Okay.
When they were still, it was the year before they became a Division I team. They were still considered a club team.
Right.
Yep.
And we got hooked up with him that year, so he was allowed to be exclusively their adopted THON child. Well, when they became a Division I team, they went into the Student Athletic Advisory Board. So we're actually now adopted by the whole athletic organization.
Okay.
But we still hang out with the hockey team because
Right.
they're the team
Right.
that first.
Right.
I mean, we do a lot with the other teams too, but those guys are like his brothers. He goes up to Pagula and he runs around there like he owns the place. He goes over, everybody has to have a security badge to go up and down the elevator, not Colton.
Yeah, he just...
They just like, oh, Colton, come on, go ahead. Come on down. What do you want to go down to the locker room? Okay, go ahead. Coach Godowski comes out and grabs him after the games and takes him down to the locker room. Everybody involved with Penn State hockey has been so amazing to us. I can never ever express to anybody what they mean to us. I really, it's more than I could ever even explain. I mean, the whole student body, the people see Colton just sometimes walking around THON even. Hey, you're the kid from the hockey team, right? Oh yeah, he's signed hockey jerseys up there. THON child Colton Buckley. They'll have autograph sessions after the games where the players are signing, and he'll just be standing there, and people come up to him, "Can you sign my jersey
sign my
too?"
jersey?
Yeah,
That's incredible.
The whole,
That's awesome.
Everything. We love it.
Now, you mentioned the locker room, and I actually have from the Caring for Colton page where you post some of those pictures. I pulled up that one where they gave him a nameplate in the locker room.
Yep, he has his own locker room.
Did you know that was happening, or was that a surprise?
That was a surprise.
What did you think? What did Colton think when he walked in and saw it?
He just kind of. It's funny because he doesn't expect things.
Right.
He just kind of rolls with them, you know. I mean, he loved it. He loved the fact that he was included with them. But he had been in their locker so many times, even at the other place, they kind of had a little area for him there too, but nothing with his nameplate on or nothing.
Right.
Now he has his own locker. He has a jersey hanging up there. Presently, I don't have any of the new pictures, but they have a jersey hanging in there with his name on. They have a pair of skates that he skates with when he's up there, hanging in there. A couple, they have these mind bender games that they like to play with him. They stick them in there.
That's awesome.
But yeah, he's they embrace him, he embraces them. It's a two-way street. And
I know you're incredibly close with all those guys on the Penn State hockey team. You mentioned Coach Godowski, but is there a specific player or players that you or Colton are just like really, really have a huge connection with, or maybe that they go above and beyond what you expected, or is it just really the entire team mentality?
There's a few that have been there since the beginning that are now they're actually getting into their junior years.
Okay.
Tommy Olchek has been incredible. Luke Uha, Nate Jensen, PJ Musico, who just he wasn't even on scholarship, and now he's become the starting goaltender the last couple of weeks. He got into the one game and he's been hot, so they left him in. He actually started the game tonight too. The newer kids that get in as freshmen, they don't know what's going on yet.
Right.
There was a couple of the kids that came up and we met them for Colton's birthday at the Akron football game.
Okay.
And they actually had a big party for him out in the parking lot. And you could see the freshmen kind of like, all right, what the heck's going on? Who's this kid? You know what? After a while, now they're on board too. They come up after the games. They hang out with Colton, and like I said, every single one of the kids on the team treats Colton like a little brother,
That's
and
awesome.
He treats them like older brothers. You know,
That's so good to hear. And we were talking, Seth, is in the district, and he got to spend some time with the football team, the Wilson football team, this fall, and his mom and he were just talking how special that bond was and how cool that was. And then we had some of the football guys on, and like getting to tell them, and like I don't think, as I teach these kids, I said sometimes it's hard to grasp when you're on the other side of it, how much that means to the kids and the families.
Absolutely.
and to other people who are looking outside on those. But it's great to hear those stories. I'm glad. I'm glad to hear it, and as a Penn State fan, it just makes me, even more proud of all the work that goes into Thon and all the things that are, that so much work and effort go into.
It's truly amazing. I feel bad that I didn't know anything about Thon until my son got sick. I get embarrassed about it a little bit, and we say thank you to the guys every time after every game when they come and talk to Colton and stuff, and they actually say no, thank you. And I've actually had a lot of their parents come and thank me for allowing Colton to be around them and stuff. I'm like, no, thank you for raising such a good son, a good, person. They've really been amazing.
Yeah, so.
Sorry about that.
That's all right.
Now, before we let you go, Mr. Buck, I'm so pleased you were able to join us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
This is a sports show, and I know you're a huge sports fan. Now, you just kind of mentioned about you didn't know quite anything about Thon until you got involved. You're not. Your fandom isn't actually with Penn State. You're actually a Michigan fan, am I correct?
That is true.
Oh, man.
That is true.
Now,
that's okay.
It's okay.
We can live with that.
We're Chad-Heady fans.
Yeah,
We've got
yeah.
a Michigan connection.
I root for Michigan. I cannot root against Penn State anymore. I can't.
I said that to Justin. I said
for even my other friends that are Michigan fans, they when Michigan's playing Penn State football, hockey, I cannot cheer against Penn State anymore. I just it's not in me. Do I love the maize and blue? Yes, I do. I have a maize and blue room in my house, but I also have a Penn State hockey room in my house now too. So Penn State will always hold a special place in my heart, and I can't ever root against Penn State ever again. I can't.
I think
not for what they've done for me.
To sports fans like us and to those that are listening, I think that takes it, that explains it at a level where people can understand. Like for me to put a maize and blue room in my house, that would mean there's something special there. So I'm glad that they're able to cross that bond. And we were talking about this on our show last week. Thon is one of those things that help bring schools together. And I know this is one where I think we could agree on most of the aspects when we talk Ohio State. We're going to be on the same side there. However, I saw somebody posted, I believe, a Buckeye Thon. They just started.
Yeah, they have a Buckeye Thon.
Right, and they just started, and I was like, you know what? If there's one thing I can be glad that they do, that would be the one thing. Anything else, I don't want to hear about it. I can't even say
their name.
Spoken like a true Wolverine.
It's just that school from Ohio.
That's right. That's right.
That's what they are to me.
Well, Denny, I'm glad you could be here, represent the Buckley family.
Thank you.
We're glad that you could join us so much, talk a little bit about your experience with Thon and Mini-THON.
Thank you for having me.
And also
I appreciate
being
it.
a sports fan. We actually, as being a thank you from us, we'd like to offer you a show T-shirt for joining us on the show.
Okay.
I think Justin's going to take care of that for you.
Okay.
So thanks again.
Thank you.
We're so happy you could join us, and I know we'll see you around.
All right. Thank you again very, very, very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, so we're going to move on again. That was Denton Buckley from the Buckley family. We're so pleased that he could join us here this evening, and just hearing incredible strength from his son Colton and his association with the Penn State hockey team. Absolutely incredible, and I know they are very much looking forward to next weekend to get up to State College for Penn State Dance Marathon 2015. But we're going to move right along here. We got another view, our last interview of the evening set up. Joining us now is Ian Roth, the Wilson Mini-THON overall this year. It's quite the event that you've been put together, you and your staff here. I know there's a ton of people involved, but you're the guy. You're the one that everyone turns to. You helped set up this incredible event. We're thankful that you were able to join us this evening.
Thank you for having me.
And I guess first up, let people know, how long have you been planning this day? How long have you been working on this?
This has been a long journey. We had our first meeting in May of last school year. We did a little debriefing from our last Mini-THON, our first Mini-THON last year. And it's run through student government. So we had our first meeting in May. And we had a couple summer meetings. So it's been a long journey since last year in May. And pretty much we've been doing fundraisers all year. But we've been planning this night ever since last school year, so it's a long journey.
Yeah, absolutely. I know there's a lot of people involved. I know you won't take all the credit. I know there's tons of people. Who are some of the other people involved that have meant so much to this cause?
Oh, for all the captains, they just, I'm we're very proud of all the work that the students have really, they've really taken this into account and really taken time to do the research on the cause. And Four Diamonds, Kinjal Marther, their representative, has been a huge help with us and getting all the merchandise and shooting emails back and forth. All the sponsorships, like Sandstone Rental gave us a bounce house for tonight. I mean, there's so many people you can thank. I mean, the football team in September, when they helped us with the gold out, having the Woolridge family on the field, that was a huge morale booster.
We talked at length with Seth and his mom about what it was like to be associated with the gold out at the football game and hang out with the football team, and they just raved about that entire event that you guys were able to contribute to their on-field presence and all the gold in the stands and on the field, and the ability to be open with the football team. They really raved about that opportunity.
And the football team really took it into their, they really took they took it in. They took that night in and really realized, at the assembly, Coach Pantalone from Lebanon Valley College, the defensive coordinator, he came and spoke to our students. And I think they really saw that this is something special that we're doing. The whole school saw that this is something special we're doing. I'm really lucky that we had great ambassadors and the football team players that were able to, interact with Seth and Ethan the whole night. They signed a football for him. They gave him gloves. They went home with a whole care package of stuff from the football team, and that just made them feel like they were part of a Mini-THON family. And that weekend definitely goes down as one of the big morale boosters for our Mini-THON team.
And I think I know, I'm being inside the locker room for that night, taking the pictures, hanging out, getting to meet Seth and his brother, just see that how they interacted with all the kids. The whole team, everyone got so involved, and it was such, like you said, a morale booster, and it just coming togetherness and really boosting up this Mini-THON presence at Wilson. But you mentioned some ambassadors on the team, and from what I saw that night, the amount of effort that Nate Benz and Kyle Mulwiney put into that was absolutely incredible.
And Nate is he is a very he takes his job very seriously, and he's one of my best friends. I met him in 10th grade, and we've gotten really close. And when I was made overall, I knew that he was my guy for rules and regulations. I knew he would take that. It's at one of those positions, at least at the Mini-THON level, that you have to have fun, but you have to have a very good mindset.
Right. I'm completely familiar with that because I was a captain for rules and regs at Penn State for Dance Marathon 2007. So when I found out when I approached him because I knew he was involved from the McCaskey game, and in November I think I said to him, I was like, Justin and I, Mr. Raffauf and I, we do this sports show. We thought it'd kind of be cool to do it from Mini-THON, and he's like, because I knew he was involved, and right away he turned around and you were back there. And he pulled you up.
He pulled me. I was like, yes, this is amazing, and that's when the pieces started coming together. And I mean, look at all this in front of us. It's amazing, and to think that students can put something together like this is truly incredible, and it goes to show that everyone in here, whether it's a blue shirt or the committee members, they really worked their butts this year, and they really took it into account, and they're all hands, and we're really lucky to have everyone.
Now I'm going to presume, and maybe I'm presuming wrong, you were involved with Mini-THON last year?
Yes.
Okay, I figured being the overall, you probably had to come in with some working knowledge. Now, what was your involvement like last year?
Last year I was the technology captain, and actually our technology captain this year, Connor Hargraves, he, I didn't really have much. I knew how to make videos. Last year we was kind of just piecing it together. It was our first year. I made a lot of the videos, but kept Mr. Parks and Connor Hargraves were there the whole night helping us out, and like their setup that they have here with all the screens and stuff, that was all them. And he's been taking pictures at all our events. He's been making all the line dance video he's made. It's truly incredible, and that was my part last year, all the pictures and the videos and stuff. But really, like Mr. Parks and Connor and that whole technology crew, just the work that they do for not only for Mini-THON but for all events around this school, it's truly remarkable, and we can't thank them enough for all.
Yeah, I'm familiar with Connor and his work at the football games, doing the productions there, all top-notch, really great the way that they've been able to do that,
very professional,
broadcast the game. And Connor actually played for me at West. He played football for me.
He did.
It was nice to see him involved as well. I always like to see kids that I know getting involved in things, so that was great to see him, and it's awesome to hear you speak so highly of him. Obviously, this main event, it's just everything coming together. It's awesome to see. It's stressful at times, but it's a great event.
It's a happy stress.
Exactly.
It's a happy
perfect
stress.
way to describe it.
Yeah.
So putting this to the side, though, during the year, what's your favorite event, or what was the best part of the past year getting 2015 ready?
For Mini-THON, I would have to say definitely the gold out, I would say, or the basketball game.
Okay.
Because it was one of those events where we had to run it professionally,
right,
and it was a good preparation for a night like this. We had the walkie-talkies out,
right, yeah,
we had all the concession stands up, and it was, that basketball game was hilarious. Mr. Keener, what a character. I mean, he didn't have much basketball skill, but he was running around with a GoPro on his head.
He knew how to entertain.
Yeah.
And I know, for anyone that knows Mr. Keener, he does know how to entertain. Man.
I think we're going to see him a little later.
He'll be here at 1 o'clock. His band is going to perform.
All right.
Yeah.
That'll be awesome. Now that you mentioned two things throughout the year that are awesome, but thinking about this 12-hour period, 6 to 6, is there an event or something that happens that you're like, that's the best part of that day? If you're going to see one thing at Mini-THON, what would that be?
It's definitely the reveal.
The reveal, yeah.
I would say it's the reveal, especially. I mean, I guess you have to take it all in first in order for that to feel special. But it's definitely the reveal to see that all the emotions going on, and all the captains we met. It doesn't feel like it's today, Mini-THON. But when that reveal goes off, there's going to be tears and screams of joy. I can tell you we're in a really good spot, and I think everyone will be very impressed with the work we've done.
Awesome. Now, a couple more Thon-related questions before I want to ask you a couple sports things, and we'll let you go. We know you got a lot to do this evening. So just a simple one. I think I've heard you answer this on a promotional video, but why do you Thon? Why do you get involved? Why do you want to be here? Why do you want to be a part of this?
My personality, my mindset, I really want to help others, and actually I really like helping out in the community. I want to become a middle school teacher and, give back to. I've had so many incredible teachers in my life, and people that I look up to have really helped me guide my way. And to see a child that has to, endure pain every single day, and to, it makes my instincts. It makes me want to help them that much more. And I think that's what our captains and all the students and all the people here have really taken that into account. And it's, this is why we Thon, and this is why we raise all this money, is because we truly realize that we are one school, but we can make a big difference. And that's why there's over 150 schools in Pennsylvania that do this. It's truly amazing to see that this has become a great trend. And Four Diamonds just does amazing work, and they are so helpful, and they're able to help us in every way that that's humanly possible.
The growth and awareness of Mini-THON and Four Diamonds Fun by extension has been so great over the last 10 years.
You should see some of the schools like Cumberland Valley.
Oh yeah,
$220,000, and they've been doing it for 9 years.
Collectively over $1 million now over the life of their Mini-THON.
And that's our goal, to keep this trend moving. Josh Heckman last year started our Mini-THON program, and without him, without getting that first year in, last year we had a huge success, and this year it's just going to keep on going, and I'm excited to see what the people in the future can do. I'm really glad that we're making this a really good tradition at Wilson.
Now, besides being Mini-THON overall, you're kind of a multifaceted, diverse person.
Yes.
Pretty much everything
that's putting it nicely.
Everything I see at
everywhere
Wilson,
you go, you find Ian.
Yeah, that's kind of what. Now, I've only really known you since November when we first started talking
at the
about
football
this.
game.
We got texts and some phone calls and emails and stuff. And the more that I've learned about you, I'm like, so he does everything. And I talked to Justin and our friend Greg here, teacher at Twin Valley. He knew you.
Yeah.
He knew you from your music acumen.
Yeah.
So you're involved in music, both musical and chorus.
Yes.
It's just incredible to see the list of things that you do. It just goes on and on and on. And while I love all those aspects, I was in the band, love music stuff. You're involved with Thon, obviously. What we want to focus on right now is sports. And by the way, you're a scholarship athlete, which is just incredible to me as more and more I learned about you. You're apparently a pretty darn good baseball player.
Yeah, I'm a left-handed pitcher. I'm going to Eastern University, which is Division III, to play on their team next year. It's in Philadelphia. It's by Villanova, St. David's, PA area. So that's very exciting. I'm really, I'm not that tall, but when you're lefty, if you can do it, they need you. So I'm really, baseball is one of my passions. I want to become a coach someday and help out hopefully in the school districts. Mr. Luft, if you know him, he's one of my great role models, and I really want to become something like him. He does everything at Southern. Like, he's student council. He does the morning announcements, which I used to do. I actually used to be the sportscaster over at Southern.
Well, there you go. And I know for the last 5 years he's been the middle school football coach.
Yes.
Being at West, I'm familiar with him from being at Southern. But that's great. A scholarship player going to Eastern to pitch. I didn't know you were a pitcher. I didn't get that far into the sport, so that's even more amazing. Pitching, one of the most demanding positions you can play. Being a southpaw, incredible. Now, I assume we know you're going to Eastern. You said you wanted to be a teacher. You're doing a form of education for your major then?
Yes, middle school education, which is kind of a newer certification. So you get 4 through 8, and you focus on a subject area, I think 1 or 2.
Is there one or two you want to focus on?
History and English.
Okay.
So basically 4 through 6, you're guaranteed all subject levels, like a normal elementary school teacher. But then 7 and 8, if you teach there, you have to teach at your certified subject area. So it's a little bit of balance, and I really like the middle school level. I think for sure I found that out going on the 6th grade camp trip, being a counselor there.
Oh, yeah.
And I coach. I help coach around the community, like the Spring Township Athletic Association.
Yep.
And, I actually helped coach flag football a couple years ago for an internship for my grad project. So.
Awesome. So that's really great to hear everything that you're involved in. So much so that you were able to get the Thon overall position. Now, I know I don't want to keep you much longer, but this event will end. I'm sure you guys will take a day to relax, then probably on to 2016.
Not quite yet.
Do you have a hand in working with that? Will you talk to people that will take over? Like,
yes.
Do you hand it down?
Yeah, we'll probably do a little debriefing. I mean, we've got a lot to clean up. I can tell you that the WAGs room in our school, which is like the meeting room, that is a mess right now. So
all for a good cause.
Yeah, it's for the kids. So we'll do a little debriefing, let everyone breathe. It's been a train all year, so we'll tone it back a little bit, and have a little debriefing, what went well, what didn't go well this year, what we can improve on, and then we'll hand it over. We'll discuss on our leaders next year, but we got a really good core senior group or junior group that we really feel can take the reins next year, make this even better.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you joining us, Ian. Again, that was Ian Roth, the 2015 Mini-THON overall. Also, scholarship baseball player going to Eastern, which we love to talk about sports here on the Joe Mays and J-Raff show. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for helping us get this set up and everything.
This is awesome.
This
is
a lot of fun.
Adds to the atmosphere. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a short break to clean up. We'll come back for the last 5 minutes before our first broadcast ends. So this is Joe Mays and J-Raff show live from Wilson Mini-THON 2015. We'll be right back. All right, so we're back here at Wilson Mini-THON 2015. We'll wrap up here. We've got about 5 minutes to go before we sign off for the first part of our two-day show here at Wilson Mini-THON. So we're on for 6 to 9 here tonight during the community carnival, where Mini-THON was actually open to anyone that wanted to come in and partake, take a gander of what's going on here in the gymnasium, mingle with the committee members and the dancers. And now we're winding down. We had an awesome first part of the show. We had a bunch of interviews, which was great. It was so much fun to interview the football players, the Four Diamonds Fund families, Mini-THON overall. Ian Roth was just with us. It was really, really incredible. We're going to come back here for 2 hours tomorrow morning, 4:30 to 6:30. The event actually ends at 6, but we wanted to be on here on the air when they revealed the total. I don't know if we'll make it to 6:30. We might end it a few minutes after 6. We'll see what happens. But yeah, great start to Mini-THON 2015. We're now almost 3 hours in, and we'll be signing off here in a couple minutes. We didn't talk a ton of sports here this evening, but it was more important that we spread the awareness and go over the cause, the great thing that is the Four Diamonds Fund and Thon and Mini-THON, run by the students of high schools and Penn State University. And what's happening now is it's going to get loud again, is the tradition known as the line dance, which is just one of the highlights of any Thon and now Mini-THON. It's trickled down to. It's kind of a recap of the year that was in popular culture, news, as well as things related to the school itself. So it'll be fun to watch the Wilson version, which usually plays once an hour, so we can get the end here with a bit of a loud moment from the line dance here at Mini-THON 2015.
Yeah, it's anyone who thought we are a few hours in, are they going to start to hit a wall here? Absolutely not. They're definitely ready to go. I don't know if that's how they plan it. It might be, but the line dance really kind of gets everyone going again.
Oh yeah.
And now that they all know the dance, it's even better. The first few times, everybody's kind of working out the kinks on that, but now they seem to have it kind of down pat. And they'll have plenty more opportunities as the night goes on, and we'll see it a few more times in the morning.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. And like Justin said, it's kind of designed to get people up and moving. It's meant for the dancers to get stretching done, do some movements, move around, because as the hours wear on, they get worn down, they get tired.
You might start standing still a little bit more, and that's just going to wear on you and make it harder and harder.
It really is, other than the reveal and getting to hang out with the kids, the line dance is kind of the part that everyone looks forward to. And they're running through it right now. I see highlights with Mr. Meyer, as mentioned, a math teacher at Wilson High School. Your water polo team, I don't know if you were in any of the pictures. I noticed they stole some pictures from me and are using it from the Wilson football webpage. So it's nice to be included. But I couldn't be more happy that they asked us to do this. Or really, we asked them. We were kind of like, hey, could we do this? And it seemed to work out. I think I think people have really taken on to it. I'm not sure too many people actually. They kind of knew we did a show, but I don't think they knew that it was like this.
Right. Yeah. I don't think. Some of them had said that they knew, they saw it online and things like that, but I'm not sure they realized what it was. So I think it was fun to see some of them come on and actually get to talk to them on the show. So they kind of got an idea of what this is, and kind of see how we see how we kind of follow them and support them, and it's nice to kind of let them tell some of their stories from high school and from Thon and from their sports and all that other stuff.
Yeah, so we're into about the final minute here. So just again to recap, we're going to sign off here from the Wilson High School, West Lawn, Pennsylvania, live from Wilson Mini-THON 2015. They're doing the line dance as we speak. We're 3 hours into the event. The end concludes at 6 a.m. tomorrow, Valentine's Day, where they'll reveal the final year-long fundraising total for the event. Their goal was $50,000. They're more than halfway there just with online donations. And if Ian was any indication, I think they're going to break their goal. That's my guess. He seemed upbeat about it. He seemed positive. Now, that's the kind of person he is, so he might just be, thinking like that. But I think they're going to be able to meet and break their goal of $50,000, which would be incredible.
And even if they're not there yet, it's not too late. I know Joey has had up on the Ustream link all night. You can go on there and donate. If you go through Wilson High School, you can find the link if you're looking for it. It's not too late to kind of add to that and help them reach their goal.
Yeah, absolutely. So for Justin, I'm Joe. We're going to sign off here to finish the first part of our Mini-THON show. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 4:30. I highly doubt anyone will be up then to listen, but we'll be available on the archive on YouTube. We'll have that up momentarily, and also tomorrow morning show, the same thing. So again, we'll be up at 4:30. So until next time, I'm Joe Mays.
I'm J-Raff.
And this is the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, signing off from Wilson Mini-THON 2015.
Thanks for listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. Don't forget, you can download each episode of the show from the podcast section of the iTunes Store. We'll see you next time, and thanks again for listening.